Live Freedman Adventures podcast, and I'm so blessed that Danny Kadota is here. Danny, my friend, what's up?
Phil, we had a blast the other day.
Oh my God, we are going to talk
Oh,
all about that Legends trip.
absolutely.
That was probably one of the most fun times I've had in a long, long time. Those guys are crazy.
You know, the amount of experience that was on the boat there. I forgot what they calculated it out, but it was some
700 and something.
No,
Tino said it was 6,843, and nobody could catch a fish.
That's the best part. We laughed our behinds off too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Hey, let me see your mic because it's like
okay.
screwed up a little bit.
All
there
right.
we go. We're good.
Okay.
That should be good.
Usually
Yeah, I know.
I yell loud enough. They used to tell me not to yell hookup. I blow people's eardrums out. Yeah. But
hey, let me thank a couple sponsors.
Sure.
We've already got people coming in with questions because they're thrilled that you're here today.
Awesome.
I
can't
totally
wait.
am.
I can't wait.
I'm so
Let
thrilled
them
you're
rip.
here.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, let's thank Daiwa, our rod and reel sponsor. You fish Daiwa, you told me,
Oh, absolutely.
on the freshwater scene?
Oh, yeah.
You fished
Pretty much
Lexus?
exclusive. Yes, I do. Actually, I had one on my 20-pound, but the problem I made was fishing straight Spectra to a short top shot.
Oh, we're going to get into all of
That
that.
wasn't their fault. That was my fault.
There were guys on our YouTube channel saying, you need to get Danny to tell us exactly what he was doing,
Yeah. Well,
what was going
I
on.
spanked myself.
So, Opsin Fluorocarbon, Fish and Fluoro, we believe in Opsin, www.opsinusa.com. Put in FA at checkout, and Greg Brown, the owner, will send you a love note. He writes you a little love note.
Awesome.
You hide it from your wife. And sometimes it's perfume, sometimes not, and he'll send you a free gift also. And of course, 22nd Street Landing here in beautiful San Pedro, California. It doesn't get any better. They got a nice fleet here, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. This was my home for many years. I started out at, it was Norm's Landing, then Port Sacal. They changed the name a few times, but then I gravitated. I finished off over here, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I was at 22nd.
do you feel like this was home for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you feel that way when you come back
and I
here?
live 22 streets away, so then up the hill. It's perfect.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. And you were here for our 1 million view celebration.
what
so
a
many people
day.
came to me and loved you.
What a day.
That was
a
fun,
great
wasn't it?
day. It was awesome. What a tribute. 1 million views? Oh,
You know what that means?
yeah.
It means that people have no taste. That's what it means. All right, and also the Malahini, Bill Wilkerson down there in San Diego, great guy. Bill is a dear friend of mine, fishes hard and just a lot of fun to fish with. Tucker McCombs up there, Ventura Harbor, Sportfishing, 805-676-3474. Really a special guy. Dan Smith says, okay, hot cup of coffee, Kim at the keyboard, and a show with Danny Kadota. How good is that? Good evening, Phil, Danny, Anthony, Jason, and all of you fine fishing folks. Some of your fans.
Awesome.
I don't know if you remember Dan, but him and his wife were here, and they chatted with you at great length. And Dan said, man, I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
Yeah. Made an impression on these folks.
Yeah. It's just my kids I have to get those stuff over to, It's just,
Big Duke 10 says, hey there, guys. Travis Bright was here. He says, hi. 540 Slinger. Did you see those guys?
yes,
on the
I
long
did.
Rods?
I did.
Jeff Yeomans, great
did.
guy. And also, Jeff, thank you for his service. He was in the Navy. Super good guy. Super good
Absolutely.
guy. And I'm sure he's going to have some questions. Hello, guys. Greetings from Mexico. We've got an international flair
Wow.
tonight. We've actually had people from Taiwan, the Philippines, watching us.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's great,
That's
right?
fantastic.
I mean,
absolutely. Fishing is fishing. It's so universal, Phil. And anywhere I travel to, I like to be a sponge.
Yeah.
I like to soak up anything I can to implement it in our backyard.
Right,
If we can do it. There's a time where it will or may not apply, but at least you have that stored up in the back of your head.
Greg Bates, who was down there making those burritos the other morning, good guy.
Oh, good
called me up
burritos.
today, and he goes, I want to bounce this off you. What do you think about this? I'm like, I'm listening. What is this? A proposal or something? And he said, fishing transcends everything: culture, color of your skin, socioeconomic levels.
Absolutely.
If you got the bug, we're all in this together,
That's it.
and we're all pursuing and chasing the same dream. And I
that's
said,
it.
you got it, man.
That is it.
Right?
That is it. That's
And-
always been the best.
In fact, you were being groomed at an early age for academic success, right? Being a fisherman, probably like my mom, like, you a fisherman? Are you kidding me? Don't even think about it. I'll cut your fingers off.
Well, you know, I think they knew I had it in me, you know, and probably scared my dad that I was going to go this route. But, you know, at 4, I was walking Sierra streams, tying my own knots, you know, up in
Well, who
Bishop.
started you on that? Your dad, right?
My dad, my grandparents. And,
Yeah.
and my grandparents, since I was the oldest. And they saw my, you know, my knack for fishing. And I had that drive from the time I was 4.
Just to interject a question real quick. With your grandparents, were they relocated during?
Well, yeah, they
Did they
that
end up in
side
Mazenor?
that side came from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay, and so they were second generation already.
Yeah.
And my great grandfather had a fishing fleet in Hilo.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, so there is some
Yeah.
fishing blood goes back.
Yeah.
And then my grandparents were born there, so they're really the first generation, you know, of Americans, you know, from Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then my dad's side came straight in from from Seattle, and then gravitated down and had the farm in Central California.
Right.
You know, but yeah, no, the fishing part comes from my grandparents' side. They had me. They saw that at the age of 4, I was fishing, you know, the creeks in Bishop Creek, and I would fish undercuts and stuff. And that's what I lived for.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
you got the bug.
I
at
got
an
the
early
bug,
age.
and I'm being the oldest grandchild. They picked me up every Friday. We fished Saturday, Norms, Redondo. We fished everywhere. But I got my first yellow when I was 5.
I can still remember Pat.
Yeah.
I think it was Pat Conklin saying to me, "Once you get this fishing in your blood, you'll never get it out." You used to hear that a lot, right? And it's true.
Yeah.
It's so true. Hey, Israel says, "Good evening, everybody." Super good guy, Sam De La Torre. You know that
Sam, of course,
guy?
Yep.
He's just finishing up soccer practice with his daughters. I think his daughter, maybe a son and daughter, but
That's awesome.
He's a super good guy. Sam
Yes,
says,
he
"Hey
is.
guys, Danny is the embodiment of SoCal fishing culture and business." He's right, man. You have to be one of the nicest people I've ever met. Humble, nice. And we had a conversation before we came on air here, and we were talking about the importance of being a sponge and having an open mind, and not getting to the point where I'm Phil Friedman. I've been fishing for 50 years. There isn't anything you're going to tell me that I'm always listening.
I got to tell you, one of my greatest mentors is Tanaka. And
Yeah.
I was weaned off of
You
him
were a
for the
second
Mustang.
for
I was second
many
for
years, right?
Greatest fisherman that and person.
Yeah.
Same thing. You know.
Did he have the new Hustler too?
No, that was George Mayo. He was my
That's
other.
right. It
When
was George.
Taka retired, George was my
That's right.
my co-partner
That's
and running
right.
mate down there. in
I'll
San
tell you a
Diego.
funny story about that.
Oh yeah.
In a little
Okay,
bit.
good. I got some good ones with George too.
I'm sure.
But Taka always had his you know, especially listening to the radio up in the warehouse. He says, eyes open, ears open, mouth shut, and he's right.
Yeah.
You can't hear any of the stuff coming over the radio or figure it out.
You can.
Figure out the configuration, who's running to. Okay, so and so is the code boat with so and so. Why is he running north? They're both going north. Guess what? There's a bite going on that way.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Pay
but it's paying
attention.
attention.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I carried that over from stream fishing to my lake fish, bass fishing on the lakes. Of course, you know, and we did our homework and we communicated, you know, when we got home. And we had a network of friends that were very, very great with sharing information.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if you know Corky Yokoi, but he had one
Yeah,
of the media
yeah.
oven. Corky was one of those guys. If it wasn't for Corky, I would have had that 19-pounder.
Oh my God.
He took his son Kyle. Well, Kyle's on the Daiwa staff,
Yeah.
right? But Kyle was on a Christmas break, and in this one December, and it was 1988, they were catching spoonfish at Castaic in deep water. Well, that didn't interest us crawdad guys. Corky took Kyle, I think the third week on his Christmas break, they started getting bit on crawdads. Okay, so I'm pumped now. I've already got
You're into it.
10 bins, 100 dozen crawdads all curing out like we cure chovies, right?
Yeah, right.
So I'm letting all the weak stuff die off, and you got nothing but hot baits.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, it snowed on January 7th, okay, of 1989. The grapevines closed. I'm watching this on TV. Grapevines closed. So the first thing I do is I call the mini mart. Is Parker Road open to the lake? Yeah. Call the lake. Is the lake going to be open? Yeah. So I called Taka. He took a friend, Calvin. I took Marty. He was my second ticket. That's Taka's son.
Yeah.
And we were the only two bass boats. There were only 4 boats on all of Castaic that day. It was in the 30s.
Oh,
because
my God.
snow had closed the grapevine.
You guys had it all to
We
yourselves.
had it all to ourselves. We get up there, the first spot. When I first cast, I hook a fish, stick it, it walks like this, and it unbuttons. And I look at Marty and says,
That was a big one.
that was a good one. So anyway, we go around, we're catching fish and all that nice grade, 4 to 8 pounds. We meet up with Taka at noon. He had a few more fish than we did, same grade, nice grade. And I said, he said, Taka, I think I dumped a good one, back on back in the cove,
Yeah.
Old Outhouse Cove,
Yeah.
on a tree. He says, yeah, right. So we're almost getting off the lake. It's 3 o'clock. I run back. We reset anchor on that, and Marty went down the left side of the tree. I went down the right side of the tree, and he gets bit immediately. Gets a nice 7-8 pounder, So I net his fish. I walk back. I pick up my rod. My crawdad starts jumping. I go, Marty, I think there's one looking. He goes, thump. I stick it, and it's at a tree right here. So I lean on it, and we're only fishing 10. I'm only fishing 10 pound, and one of the biggest misconceptions people think with some of these big bass, the real big fish that I caught, didn't fight real hard.
Really?
The 10 to 12s fight much harder.
Yeah.
They're younger. They're like,
But
the big ones are like me. I'm going to eat my burger and I'm going to waddle along. And I got
the
the weight to
couch.
break the line. Yeah, but
I think
I'm not
Tom
going to sit
Durr's
around.
still sleeping out on my couch. He was out there all day today sleeping. So you're right.
Anyway, I got it in a matter of a couple of minutes.
And how big was it?
That was 1904.
Was that your biggest?
That's my
My
biggest.
God.
We got.
Was that a record?
Yeah, it still is. It's still
Oh
a line
my
class.
God.
Still is a line class.
Royalty.
We lucked out. Yeah. No, we-
Lucked out.
You
are so
we were pretty
humble about
serious.
everything, man.
We
You
were
were so bit on that Legends trip. It was amazing. Let me grab a couple
Yeah,
questions
go ahead,
here.
go ahead.
Jeff says, hi, Phil and Danny. Do you ever catch your own bait with a sabiki lure, or do you use only bait at the receiver?
There's times you have to. Because there's
Absolutely.
times where you don't have bait. So you
Yeah.
have to run to a certain island or a certain area where there's bait.
That was part of a long
We used to
range trip that
snag
drove me
squid.
nuts.
Oh, that always happens.
Stand up,
But you got to
I
have
did it.
You got to have the ammo.
Yeah, you
Okay.
gotta have the ammo, and those guys that are down there sleeping when they come out in the morning, and they're like, "Oh man," and you're just like, "You weren't up last night snagging this
Trust me,
crap."
I would get them up.
Yeah,
It was one of
good.
my rules.
Good.
When I used to yell hook up, I could wake. You could wake anything up.
Yeah,
The dead
exactly.
fish out of the fish hold. Because I'm pretty loud, but it's only fair to everybody that everybody pulls their weight.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, this is your chance to ask Danny any question. I mean, the guy can talk fly fishing. As you just heard, freshwater bass. We're going to get into the saltwater scene. He's got some graphite rods, new rods that are going to be available to all of you very, very soon. We're going to talk all about that. I mean, I'm just so blessed to have this man as a friend because he's such a great guy. Jeff said he met you at our celebration.
Oh.
He met me, and he said it was fantastic meeting you
Awesome.
guys. Thank
Awesome.
you,
It
Jeff.
was a great event. Great venue.
It was.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Absolutely.
Honestly, when I first did that, I go, if we get 10 people here, we'll be good.
Oh, had a
then
crowd. It
It
was
started
nice.
growing and
Yes.
growing. Then I go, hey, we've got to buy more food, you guys. We're out of control here. And it turned into, we handed out 250 burritos.
Unbelievable. It was great. Great event.
Yeah, it
event.
turned into a great event.
Absolutely.
And you know what made it great, in my humble opinion? This crowd that Friedman Adventures has attracted is this crowd that loves the great outdoors, but they all seem committed to making the world a better place. They all seem to be decent human beings.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And we need
Yourself
more of that.
included.
That's
We do,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah. It's one of those times, we're at a critical time now. And we hope we get our country back.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Well, you can go ahead, be political if you want to. Keno with his jokes
I'm
and
old
everything.
school. Yeah. Well, with a lot of family that was in the military and everything else, my dad, my uncles, and I was ready to go to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I had friends say, well, if you drop out of college, you're going to go up to Canada. I go, are you kidding? I'd get beat up worse by my uncles and my dad than I would than anything
Forget
else. So
Vietnam.
I'd rather just
That's
go.
a
Yeah,
cakewalk.
that's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. David Rosenthal, speaking of great guys, we had a family in Mexicali. Their house burned down. So I put out a call. We raised $500 in less than 24 hours and a bunch of clothing and everything else. And David not only came through with some clothing, but he bought these smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, because the kids were so traumatized they didn't,
wow.
and they were going to relocate and everything else. So
Yeah.
David Rosenthal saying hi to everybody. Jeff says, thank Danny for the help. He's into it. Dan and Isaac say hello. They met you too. We say
awesome.
hello. Man,
Awesome.
that was
Awesome
really.
day.
Let's talk a little bit about the Legends trip. So all these characters. I mean, it was horrible the way Beaker was picking on poor Larry. Captain Larry Moore. It was
Wait a
hilarious.
minute.
It was hilarious.
Pick it on Larry. Did you see that picture of Larry and I with the tuna?
Yeah.
And the next thing I see is Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito
Yeah,
saying, and they go
exactly.
twins. I got more. That thing got reposted so many times.
I
I'm like,
know.
oh, great. But you know what? That was
Yeah,
perfect.
because Larry's 6'11", right?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, it
funny.
was perfect
Yeah.
analogy.
Yeah,
that was
and
funny.
man, Larry, he was on that fish for a long, long time, and he wasn't pulling that hard. Beaker was just, Larry, you got to get back to the stern. You got to get back. Larry's like, shut up, Beaker. And slowly but surely, Larry got that nice fish. It was one of the biggest fish in the daytime, for sure.
I never hooked a small fish. Well, that was a learning thing. That was on me. Early I started out, I dropped down lighter in line, but I had short top shots, and that was a big thing.
Explain to everybody.
Well,
because they
here's
want to
the
know why you got bit.
Okay.
In fact, Sam De La Torre is saying, I heard from a few that Danny was the hot stick on the Legends trip. What was the hot ticket? Here we go. And by the way, Sam, you don't have to just hear it. You can see it. The Legends video is out. Over 1,000 views. Boom. So go ahead.
Here's the problem, Sam. I'm so used and spoiled to a lot of long-range stuff that I've gone to very short top shots or straight spectra to maybe 7-8 feet of fluorocarbon, where I could just make a cast and I expect to get bingo, nailed, boom, right? I forgot about the bluefin, the way they can be, and I made a mistake. I had short top shots on my 20 and 25. So when we first got up, Phil will tell you, they're catching little footballs.
Yeah.
And I'm figuring, oh, a piece of cake, fire it out there. Hot bait takes off, make a long cast, because I'm using my 9-foot rods, right?
Yeah.
Make a long cast, get out there. It's taking off, and I'm sitting there, nothing.
Like just waiting.
Oh.
You're going to get bit.
Finally the light came on. I'm thinking, oh my God.
Finally meaning like an hour later or how long?
It took a little while. It was just in time to get thank goodness, it was just in time when those bigger fish came in.
Yes.
Okay. So.
Because you were just hanging big fish after big fish after big fish.
I went to 30 because it was the only reel. I had a Valiant 500 2-speed. It was the only reel I had with straight mono with top shot of fluoro. And I was bit the first cast, and I stayed bit. I don't know how many bites I ended up with. But, I straightened the hooks on a couple, broke one chewed through right at gaff. But I never hooked any small ones. They were all the nicer units.
Yeah, I know. You were getting
I was. I'm old. I got my butt kicked.
But you kept catching the things, man. You were putting on a clinic out there.
I fished this one rod, Phil, it's unbelievable. It's straight graphite.
Right.
I think I showed you this thing. It's 12 ounces.
I know.
I mean, it's
so
nothing.
light.
It also implements, this is a hollow graphite tube, which you can't crush. So it's also stronger and lighter.
Is that available to the public?
The handles are being made as we speak. And
Okay,
I have
good.
them even on my jig stick, where, I could take a 9-foot jig stick with a solid tube of this, and I could actually, if I have a 9-foot blank, I could push it up a foot. Now I've got a 10-foot rod. We epoxy it in, and I've got a 10-foot rod now.
Oh, wow.
And what happens?
How cool is that?
Well, what happens is with all this, and we're implementing it with the railroads too. If I brought this up, this handle, this tube, if I brought it up another 2.5, 3 inches, this 30-pound rod would be a 40-pound rod because this one has a handle. Ever shut off a rod?
Right.
Doesn't.
Right.
Cork, hypalon, everything flexes with the bend, continuity of the bend of the rod. Right. So this shuts off right here, right where this tube.
Yeah.
Because it's solid.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And it's light, but it's strong. But if I wanted to make it a 40-pound rod, I'd extend this tube out 2.5, 3 inches, and it's a different rod.
That's awesome.
So it has a lot of rod building, customizing capability that hasn't been implemented yet in this industry.
Steve Bermudez is being kind of mean. He's heard the Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He said, just thank your lucky stars, Danny, that it wasn't lurch from the Addams Family, and Billy Barty for you. Very unkind. Steve, that is
You know
funny.
what? We go on the boat to laugh our behinds off, and when
And
we
Steve's
get
got
home,
his
we do
laughing
it.
right here.
Oh
You
yeah,
can look right at him and tell
absolutely.
him to go to hell or whatever you want to
No,
do.
no. Hey, you know what? I ran boats. We got thick skin.
Absolutely. That's good stuff.
Yep.
Jeff says, we love you, Phil, and are all part of the Freeman Adventurers peeps. Make it a family. And man, hey, by the way, I do have to put out a call for help tonight. So while I'm thinking about it, I do.
There you go.
Anybody out there with a pickup truck who is really bored and wants to meet me tomorrow morning here at 10 a.m., we have 10,000 bags of clothing for Mexico. I need to move it to a warehouse. So if there's anybody out there who wants to do that, you're totally bored and you haven't served enough time in purgatory, before going to hell or heaven, you want to spend some time with me, send me a text or put a comment up there with your phone number and I'll call you later on. All right, Gary Kwan. You know Gary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Danny was secretly fishing the latest hot lures at night, an original Williamson knife jig, tipped with 2 rubber squid. It's destined to be the 2023 jig. I saw that. Talk about a guy who's watching what's going on. A couple of squid, just a few pieces, swam out. And man, you were on a squid. You surmised from that there's got to be more squid and they got to be eating that.
I do that. It's on the bank, right?
Yeah.
That knife jig is 20-something. It was the original knife jig when I represented River to Sea, years before they even brought it out there. I do know that Taka took it down below on his 18-dayer and got some 200-pounders on it. But, it's implementing that same jig, the same length, and River to Sea also made these rubber squids that are like that they're so lifelike.
I saw that.
So yeah. So there's a time I think they'll eat that, but you have to keep playing around. You have to keep playing. I mean,
you never know what's going to work.
That's what makes us fishermen. It's driving to make a better mousetrap every time you go out.
Exactly.
Figuring it out.
Yeah. Because it becomes a mystery that you try to unravel on every single trip, and that's part of the fun of this game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You don't know if it's going to work or not unless you try it, so that's what it takes.
Absolutely. Let's see. 540 that is Jeff says, Danny, could you share what knot you use for fluorocarbon to mono connections? What do you use?
I use the Seagar knot.
Okay.
The original Seagar knot. And I'll tell you, before anybody knew what Seagar was and the fluorocarbon was, Richard Hightower met me at Taka's, and I was just getting ready to go on my sponsored trip on the American Angler. And this is when Danny Sansom was still running, before Brian. And so he shows me the knot in the shop and gives me a spool of, I forget how many yards it was, and I had no idea what fluorocarbon was. And so Richard gave it to me to try out, showed me that knot. I took it out. We're at Guadalupe. The first day, it's pretty tough fishing, and I picked 18 fish with that. So I said, okay, there's something to this line.
Yeah.
There's something to this line. So the next day, we had guys that, how you got guys sitting with their elbows on the rail like this?
Yeah.
So I did, come here. I'd splice on about 3 feet with a Seagar knot, get their knots out. They'd be sitting like this. Next thing you know, it's just, and I go, this is something. And that was the very beginning of a fluorocarbon.
Man, so you're a true believer.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Tyler Morgan says he guesses that his invite to go fishing got lost in the mail. I guess Tyler's like 30 years old. Tyler, this was for people like 90 years old guys in the industry. Maybe
we walked on with canes, or maybe not with canes, but our heavier rods were,
When are Danny's rods going to be available to purchase? Jeff wants to know.
Okay, here's the problem, folks. We've enabled one area in the world to manufacture the components, and it's been really a tough going getting all this stuff out of Weihai and Wuhan, But the reel seats and guides my blanks are made domestically, and our new handles are made domestically, and those are state of the art. So it's tough. Now we do have blanks because the blank production is done here. So you can call us on that. You can check our website, or you can talk to, we have a number of guys, Sal out in Bob Sands out in the valley, Johnny's up in Pasadena, Jason and Bob's Fishing Tackle,
right?
LA Fishing Alliance, there's a few guys here. Sam, you can talk to him, floats them over to Sam if he need, at island fishing time.
Better order up right now, Sam. Quit sitting around.
But they are straight graphite, and the thing is, and I tried to do that a little bit on the boat, show the guys that you can fish straight graphite on any type of fish. In fact, I was hoping, I use these straight graphite rail rods. You can't believe it. They got to weigh about a third or less, maybe a quarter of some of the rail rods out there.
Oh, wow.
But they got just as much power. It's unbelievable.
That's awesome. Big Duke X says, wait a minute, Danny, are we talking about rod inserts and also AK the sack? That is Isaac just dropped a $20 bill on us. He threw us a $20 bill. He hit that little dollar sign right there. And I'll tell you what, that keeps the content flowing. We deeply appreciate that. Keep those $20 bills flowing in here, man. That's awesome.
Holy smokes.
Are we talking rod inserts? He's asking.
On the inserts, no. Okay, so here's the deal that the industry hasn't seen yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is this breaking news tonight?
Well, there's a couple things, but it's really the handle system itself, where we've never had a handle that can literally structure the shutoff on the rod, and these will.
Oh, really?
So you truly customize it. You can do it by your own arm length or whatever. But I could have taken this 30-pound rod that I have a cut at right now, and like I said, increase that tube a couple inches, and it's now a 40-pound rod.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It shuts it
That's
off.
amazing.
So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And it's a straight graphite rod too. There's no composite in it. So it's very high performance, but it has to go into the right hands. You can't high stick it. You want to keep it, as you'll see on the video, I was fishing basically 90 degrees on down. But 90 degrees is if the fish is out there, 90 degrees is here now, right?
Yes.
So you don't want to get higher than 90.
Right.
Because you're going to take the max out. But when it's up and down, you really want to be pointed almost down the right. You look at the slow pitch fishing.
Yeah. You look at those rods.
You look at the tip on the rods, they're very whippy and everything. So what are you doing? The pressure is going on your knot on your hook, and it's on the line, which is basically Spectra, maybe some floral, right?
Right.
And your drag on your reel.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And generally they're shorter, and there's a great time and place for that. I think it's going to be very difficult when you get into some of the cows and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, even with these fish that were, maybe 80, and I had one maybe a little bit bigger that chewed through it.
Right.
But, when you're holding it down, if it's doing a circle under, you got to be able to extend it out.
Yes.
To where you can
what are you
hopefully
going to
clear
do
the
when that
corner at
happens?
the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be a real problem.
Yeah.
Jeff wants to know if you can demonstrate that knot. We'll do that afterwards.
Sure.
It's kind of difficult,
Sure.
Jeff, with microphones and everything.
Which one, the cigar nut or which nut do you want?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. And Isaac says he likes the surgeon's knot. He thinks that's a good one. Slam and Sammy says, no elbow, get to work, brothers. Naughty Boy 78, welcome, Danny. Did you ever fish with Yo? Can you and Phil share any stories about him? I certainly can.
Yo used to charter my boat.
He did?
On a regular basis, yeah.
Out of here or San Diego or where?
Out of here and San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got some funny stories about that too.
Go ahead. This guy
All right.
wants to hear it, and he's opening it.
So because Yo and his wife Ruthie and the whole family is on the boat
Isn't that
with
his
us.
wife was Ruthie?
Ruthie.
That's my wife.
Oh,
too.
there you go.
Yeah. So tell everybody who, us old timers, we all know Yo, but who was
he? If you look at the South Bay, Phil, between all the tackle shops, and you know all the guys down here, right?
Yeah.
But between Arts and Yo's and these guys, they really drove, and the fishermen really drove a lot of what was going on in San Diego. And we were lucky to benefit by that too.
Yes.
If you look at things, Leon was here in Gardena, started on Gardena.
Leon Todd.
Leon Todd.
Guy-star.
Daiwa originally was in Gardena too.
Yeah.
I don't know if guys realize. I remember going over there.
Yeah.
But so much of that heart of sport fishing
Was in the South Bay.
my sea daddy Russ Iser.
Yeah.
Here in Gardena, and here's a guy that not only had his monofilament line, but he was the guy that was instrumental in bringing in Spectra.
Yeah.
He changed fishing as it was.
He did.
He
was a
unbelievable.
visionary.
Oh, extreme, just amazing man. Amazing man.
Yep.
Yeah. I was blessed to be around him a lot too.
Yeah.
And it was crazy with all the boats he had. He used to charter me, and I used to have a blast. But I could tell you some stories. You remember his first line he had, the Iser line?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. He was on the boat and he was he was fishing long rods before all of us. So I was playing around with little 5-foot bass rods because we were into bass fishing. And we're at Catalina, and he has his long rods, and he says, Danny, try this. So I fire out. I catch a nice bass, about 4 pounds. I start to bounce it, and it's 15 pound, and the line snaps. I said, this line is crap. You all right? And Russ goes,
did you know it was
what?
his line?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, you just let
of
him
course,
have it.
You know, you know, he says, Danny, it breaks right at 15 pounds. I says, you know, Russ, Danny doesn't care if it breaks at 15 pounds. They're not going to come out and mic it and test it.
Right.
I says, the guy wants to take 15 pound down to San Diego, catch a 20-pound bluefin, right?
And now, are you
And
a
he's
younger
got
man compared to Russ? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, quite a bit. You know, a fair amount. He was more like a sea daddy, like Taka.
Yeah,
you
right.
know, and we had great mentors.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
But so anyway, and I told him that. Not long after that, he sourced the line, did the early copolymers, and that's the first string. Because I hammered.
Because of you.
Yeah. Because I hammered it. I didn't pull any punches, but
there's two things going on in this dynamic. You saying it and him willing to accept it as an older guy that could have said, hey, kid,
that's why
shut up.
He's such a visionary.
Yeah.
He wasn't arrogant. He did that. And guess what? That's all I fish now. That's all I've ever fished is the first string. It's a copolymer. Yeah, 15 breaks at 22. What do we care? We're not fishing. How many guys? That much percentage of the fishermen are fishing for IGFA records, you know? And it's not a concern until you do get a world record or something. And even like for me on the lakes, I was fishing 10-pound XT because there was little stretch in it, right? But it broke at, it was 17 pounds. And what that did was it put me in the 20-pound class line with my bass, even though it was 10-pound rated, you know, on the box at 10 pound. Broke at 17, so you get thrown into the 20-pound class.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, I mean, unless you're fishing specifically for records, it's non-consequential. It's not consequential at all, you know. So
Yo used to come out on the Searcher. I forget. I think it was Monday.
on his longest, yeah.
Yeah, and I was a deckhand pinhead on there with Norm, Leroy,
Yeah,
Frank was
I went
running
to
the boat.
high school with Norm, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, somebody just threw me a photo of my little brother Paul and Norm 50 years ago, and it was a great photo. Somebody commented on it, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, he used to, and I loved him because he was like the bluefin god to me, and I picked his brain constantly. He was so nice about sharing knowledge with me. He was a super nice guy, and his store was over, like you said, right over in Gardena, so I could go over there and get my rods wrapped, and just, I love the guy. I looked at him as this kind of almost god, if you know.
Well, you know, really in Gardena, they, you know, between Yo's and Arts, the amount of talent that was in the shops as far as sales force.
Yeah, yeah. Terry over at Arts.
They were all phenomenal.
Yeah. Is Terry Randall around anymore? Or?
I haven't seen Terry in years.
Yeah, me either.
And I used to have a lot of fun with him.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And he had a funny sense of humor.
Yeah. And you have to know him.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Jeff says, are these rods going to be available at Island Tackle anytime soon?
Well, you'll have to get, you know, give him a call.
We'll let everybody,
give Sammy a call.
know right here on the show. Hey, let's make an agreement.
Yeah.
We'll have the breaking news right here on the Friedman Adventures podcast when they're available.
No, I do have a lot of
I've got the exclusive, everybody.
There you
go. Yeah. Steve Bermuda says, Yahoo, actual different type of handle of a rod. What a brilliant idea.
Well, you know, it's the technical part of it is what to me is important. That it's the first time it will structure the rod. So in other words, like I said, this rod that I caught all those bluefin with, you know, I wasn't expecting getting that great a fish, and Phil knows they were all nice. I was trying to hang a small one, but I never did.
No, there was one point where the fish, they'll see it on the video, it was going to saw you up on the bottom of the boat, and you're like, go for it, saw me off.
Yeah, please, do me a favor, you know. But yeah, if I took this rod, and I'm fishing 30 with that, if we extended the handle up this high, you know, just a couple inches, it would be a 40-pound rod, so you'd have that juice. Yeah. So you can virtually customize your rod.
How cool is that?
Yeah. The other thing that's kind of cool is even on my jig stick here. Okay, I've got a 9-foot jig stick. Yeah. And this is one of the prototypes, but now we're using the straight one-piece tube. Okay, so you see it split here. But with the one-piece tube, what I can do is, if I want to make a 10-foot rod, all I got to do is slide it up pin it in 3 different sections or so, epoxy it, and you could have a foot back behind your hollow. This will not crush.
You got to be
So now
kidding me.
now I've got a 10-foot jig stick out of my 9.
Wow.
You know, if you wanted to trim some off the tip, so you can throw a heavier jig, like say a Salis 7X instead of a 45.
Yeah.
Then you could do that. You can truly customize it by the handle.
That
and
is
that's
awesome.
that's the part that's never been done before. And it's just tremendous. This 9-foot bait stick that we took off the old Loomis 10820s. Okay, as you can see, you see the difference in length here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. This is like a light line, 15-20,
Yeah.
that you can go fish bluefin with, you know, if they're touchy, or you can go fish calico bass with. This one here, extended out this far, I went down to the Bay of LA, fished 60-pound Spectra with a 60-pound top shot doing the swim baits,
Yeah.
the dive swim baits.
Yeah, yeah.
The escape minnows.
Okay, yeah.
Fishing Cabria, and jerked those. I did get rocked once, but with the same rod, only it's shutting off up here,
That is so
and it
freaking
fishes
cool.
it totally different. So you could truly customize the rod by your handle length.
That is
you know.
so
that's
cool.
That's an innovative, and it's
Simon-
lighter and stronger.
Simon Sammy wants to know, for nighttime fishing on those big gray tuna, I'm assuming, short rod or long rod?
No, you're going to need, and see, that's the problem I'm seeing with, you know, the guys going out with a slow pitch. Most of them are very short rods, and even with this 8-foot rod, this, you know, that I was fishing the 30.
Yeah.
Okay, even then, extended out, when some of those fish went underneath the boat, it was
A chore?
a chore.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
And I had to let guys like Larry Moore, some of the tall guys with the big arms, instead of the alligator arms, had to have them reach out and hold it out, you know.
Yeah, Tino
to
was
keep it
helping
out.
a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh, yeah.
In fact,
Yeah.
when you caught your fish, Blair, one of the kids on the boat, you said, assist to Blair.
Yes.
Because they were so good out there.
Yeah, they were great. They were awesome. That was great. You got to have, old guys have to have these young guys around.
No
with
kidding,
long
man.
arms and everything else. They can move faster, you know. Yeah.
Sam De La Torre says, let's do it.
Got
I
it,
don't know what
Sam.
he's talking about.
No,
Oh,
but I mean-
yeah, I do. He said the blanks, that is. Let's
Well,
get him in there.
And you could truly customize these things by these handles. And that's proprietary. I can't tell you how they're constructed, but they won't break.
How about acid-wrapped rods? Isaac wants to know. The man who threw us $20, his
You know-
questions get answered first, always. In fact, I'll
Isaac,
see you Saturday, Isaac.
You know, I see it work. I'm just so old school. I just, you know, I'm fishing conventionally. You know, we're putting it on the spine, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, I just fish conventionally. You know, I should try it. I should have an open mind on it, but I'm so used and entrenched in fishing old school. You know, we grew up.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys on that trail, I was looking, man, everybody's fishing straight mono.
Yeah.
A lot of guys were.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was funny.
I get the concept, and it's great. I just personally haven't done it myself. You know, I'm just an old fart.
Yeah, so am I.
Do it the old way.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, Big Duke X, let's see a close-up. A close-up of what, Big Duke? Let me know. Jeff says, nice idea, Danny. Very cool. Victor Blackfin. Victor came all the way up from Ensenada to visit us the other day at our big party, our celebration. Wow. He said to say hello to you. He says,
all right.
Saludos.
Right, got it.
Slam and Sammy, what size rod do you recommend for nighttime bite? Sorry if you covered this already. Can you? What do you?
What nighttime bite? Or bay bass
Probably
fishing?
big. I'm guessing big bluefin.
Big bluefin.
Yeah.
Well, you know, all my rail stuff is all 7.5.
Yeah.
7.5.
7.5. And
Yeah, I'm
okay.
doing 7.5.
And the key here is not to high stick when you're fishing graphite, right?
You know, I don't think
and-
you want to high stick with anything, Phil.
Okay,
To be
there you
honest
go.
with
There
because
you go.
Here's the deal.
What define high sticking?
High
exactly.
sticking, I think, is
It's like when you
anytime
go
you're getting
into the
in, you're
corner
going
and you
over the
hit your hockey stick into
I
somebody's
mean,
head?
if you're doing that going over somebody,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Right.
You know, as short as I am, everything I do is high sticking. If I'm going over somebody, you know, because you have to.
Yeah.
But you know, your power curve drops off so fast the minute your rod goes over 90. And here, I'm going to give you an analogy.
Yeah.
We did this study when I was with G. Loomis and doing saltwater graphites with a 30-pound rod. It was a 7-foot, 30-pound rod, okay? We had it on a sliding scale. So this thing, as the rod had pressure going down, it would slide. So it would, you know, correspond straight up. So it was straight up and down from
Yes.
it, right? We had rocket launchers, had it behind plexiglass, and we pulled it up with a forklift, right? So this 30-pound rod at this angle, okay, say at 30 degrees,
Yeah.
took 62 pounds of pressure to break this straight graphite rod. You know, that's why I got confidence in these.
Yes.
Because if you're fishing the right way, you're never going to blow them up. And you're pulling 62 pounds, right? You go to 45 degrees with that 30-pound stick. Oddly enough, that's exactly this 30-pound stick.
Yeah.
Right? At 45 degrees, you got 45 pounds of pressure. So you drop off, you know, about 18 pounds, something like that of
Yeah,
pressure, right?
yeah.
But when you go to 90, you drop off to about 30. Okay? So you could see
Yeah.
you really don't want to go there, because the minute you start going up, you know, you drop off to 12 pounds, 6.9, and a high stick, which is straight up and down, it's 6.2. So you got 1/10 the pressure at a high stick than you do down here. Why would you want to be up here?
Right.
You have no pressure to control the fish. You know, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. You don't want to go there. That's where you're going to blow up a rod, particularly a graphite rod. You know, you could probably get away with a glass rod, but you're not lifting anything. You have no control up there, you know. So you'll notice, you know, like on some of the footage, as much as I can, I always have it down. You know,
I notice that all the
because
time.
you're gaining the maximum amount of pressure, especially when you're fishing a lighter line and a bigger fish.
Yeah.
You've got to take every edge you can get.
But you want to do that regardless.
You want to do
right?
that anyway,
Yeah.
even with smaller fish.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're taking more out of the rod that way.
So Big Duke wants to see that rod handle up close. Maybe you could.
This one?
Yeah. I think so.
Here. Phil.
Let's see if we can. I can just hold it up there for him and let him see.
Yeah, you could run over a car with that, believe it or not.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And no problem at all, right?
No problem. It's made, the industry hasn't seen how that's put together. It's unique.
Yeah.
It's unique.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And these are going to be widely available at some point in time.
At some point, once we get, you know,
Yeah.
like I said, once we get all the materials and everything in,
We're going to get the demand going through the roof after this show tonight.
Yeah, I've already been getting calls today.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
So that's cool. Yeah.
Happy to hear that. All right. Slam and Sammy says, great info. Thank you. Sam Roberts, great to see you, Dan. Still do AA old school long range RA. Does that make any sense to you?
RA.
I'm all scared up myself. All right. So Sam Roberts,
Sam
great
Roberts.
to
I
see
think-
you, Dan.
I think Sam
Still
was
do
back
the
in there
American
open
Angler?
source. Yes, I do.
Probably.
Well,
Old
you know,
school long range?
there's a loyalty deal.
Yeah.
Brian Carahar was my last pinhead.
Yeah.
Brian was coming down to this. His mom would drop Brian off. He was 14. This is when you could do it before they had the age limits.
Yes.
Brian would get dropped off here. His mom would
At
drive
22nd Street?
22nd Street.
Yeah.
His mom would drive down from Monterey Park. We get in after running the trips on Sunday night. Of course, you know, my crew was always hardcore fishing. They'd walk the docks, and they were building the marinas over here. So, you know, spotties, sand bass, calicos, till about midnight. We wanted to be finished up with our dock fishing before Gardena Bow closed.
Uh-huh.
So then we'd run from here, jump in the cars, run to Gardena Bow. Brian's mom we'd meet at Gardena, so she wouldn't have to drive all the way to Pedro, but then we'd eat and then we'd bounce. And that
How
was
cool.
It was open till 1 o'clock.
Great
those
memories,
days.
huh?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You know, I mean, I had Steve Tanaka, you know, Marty Tanaka, my brother. We had guys like Junior, who just like they were all, and it was nice. I think we were one of the first ones. I had all captains for every one of my crew members.
Yeah.
You know, all my crew members.
That's
were
great.
captains. So it
Man,
was
that makes you feel, when
Oh,
you go
it
to
was
sleep at
perfect.
night, that,
you know, and it was them, Phil. We were a team. And so you know what that meant? That meant when I went downstairs to use one of the heads, if the heads was dirty, you know what that meant? That meant I cleaned it,
yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And because it's just, that's my job,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, I know, right?
But there was no hierarchy, you know?
Which makes it great.
Yeah, I was blessed to be around such great kids.
Man,
you
those
know?
were great days when you could drop your kids. I mean, my kids,
Oh.
I did it with my kids.
Yeah.
Jeff Jessup,
Yeah.
he was running the Spitfire, and he was basically a babysitter for me, you know.
Yeah.
I dropped Philip and Patrick off, and off they'd go and have a great day. And many of the days I'd be with them, but a lot of the days I had work to do, and they wanted to go fishing, and what's wrong with that?
And you know what? They probably learned the work ethic, scrubbing
Oh
boats
my
and
God.
everything, you know, with all the kids that did that, you know?
God, it's amazing that you touch on that, because the work ethic you learn in this business. You know, when I was in China and I was teaching, now the Chinese teachers, their work ethic is like incredible. But the foreign teachers, oh my God, frickin' whining about like, oh, we have to work 3 hours today. And the Chinese teachers are working 9 hours and then they're going and doing home visits. And I'm like, am I glad I got my ass kicked on sport boats when I was a kid? Because I would teach at the school, go out and go to a training center, teach there, and then haul butt over to a mall and teach adults at night because I couldn't get enough of it. I was loving it. I was enjoying it. I like to work.
You know, you lose your edge. I caught a little bit of heck from a lot of guys in the fleet because I would leave an hour earlier. But
Trying to lock up alpha position.
well, that and I had the Fujikawa brothers. When they were during the winter time.
Yeah.
Where they would make the Amy Lynn and Midori. They'd be over at Catalina, and we built the first receivers with the big PVC 4-inch, and I had them 8 feet deep. So I hold 2 power barrels. It was a ton of squid, so I could fill all 4 of my bait tanks. So my crew didn't have to stay up all night snagging squid or making squid.
Yeah.
Okay, so what that did was that I'd go down to Bowers, buy cases of 22s and shotgun shells, get some, stop at the sushi bar, some chicken, and take that over. And when we got to Catalina, boom, power barrel 2 in, back the boat off, shut my lights off, go around the corner so nobody knows, sneak it over to Clemente, and bingo.
Wow.
But the concept, the early bird catches the word. I don't want to be in somebody's wake, and then even more so later when my code boat George Mayo here, the new Hustler 2, when we went down to San Diego, and we didn't tell anybody, but we had the only scanning sonars the first year of this.
Yeah,
sonars.
Oh, you guys must have been kicking butt.
And that helped. It actually helped bring. It used to be a northern fleet versus southern fleet.
Yeah.
But it helped bring some of that together. We started working with some of the San Diego boats, and it kind of broke some of that.
I'll bet, man. They wanted to get in on that.
You have to compete,
Yeah.
You have to compete.
Because the San Diego boys always feel a little superior to the northern fleet, right?
Yeah. And that's why I fish so hard on the lakes too.
Yeah, there you go.
Because we all competed,
with
on
Buzz
the lakes.
Brizendine and those bass guys.
The Sansom brothers.
Yeah.
All of them. Nick. Yeah.
You know a guy named Mark Franco from Bass Pro Shops, and he's at Diamond Valley Lake. I'm pretty sure this is Mark. Hi, Danny. Mark Franco here. You are a living legend. Thanks for sharing all of your knowledge. I think that's say Mark Franco. Mark, let me know if I'm right on that. But super great guy.
Living has been. It was fun days. But the same concept applied going up to Castilla and Casitas, being first in line. And my partners knew we were going to be in line at 3 a.m. because I wanted alpha position. And having the knowledge and having a network of good friends that we could share that with, if I hit the water at the same time, there's nobody who's going to baby. I made sure of that.
Yeah, right.
We were outfitting the boat with all the right stuff. I had lots of ammo. I cured crawdads. We went the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of, you let all the weak crawdads die off, and we used to get our own at a lot of times.
Gives you a huge advantage. Isaac says, the guy that threw us a $20 bill, he said, I made the mistake of high sticking with a calico bass, broke my rod.
Isaac, don't high stick with anything, not even a perch. I mean, you just don't want to do that because you've got 1/10 the pressure up here than you do if you point it at it and keep it down low. So it's a much more efficient way to do it. You're in control. You could do this yourself. You could load a rod and put it on a scale and lift it up here and see what it pulls, and then put it down here and pull straight back, and you're going to find yourself keeping that angle down, always. The only time you're going to have it up above anything is if you're going over and under somebody and you have to go over somebody. That's about the only time it gets up to that height.
Yes.
And for a short guy like me, that happens quite a bit if you're if everybody's pinned up. But that's why you got tall crew members.
Do you remember crew members used to berate you for pointing your rod at a fish? You remember in the old days?
Yeah.
Usually
the only time we pointed is to break it off, right?
I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
But now it's, we're taking the max out of it.
Well,
not so much pointing, but it's down. You got a little flex.
Yeah. But not.
We have better drags now, Phil.
Yes.
So you could depend on that. Back then we all had washers like this on. Even our 6.0s had small washers, so you couldn't hold those drag pressures. So it's different now too.
Chuck Zimmer from the Redondo Beach Rod and Gun Club, one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet, styled me out with a bunch of fish. I went over to his place for a meeting. You got to go someday. I'll call you and we'll go over there.
Of course.
And man, they had one hell of a barbecue. It was so good.
Oh, that's
he wants
awesome.
to know, does lift on a rod affect the drag pressure on the reel?
Oh yeah, but like I said, the angle of the lift makes the biggest difference. Okay, like I said, you lift up here, you're getting 1/10 of the pressure than you are if you're pulling here. Okay.
Yes.
So keep your angles down. It also keeps you from breaking rods. You know, you're in control, puts more pressure on the fish. So here's the deal. People, when they catch a fish, a lot of times they get focused on the fish. What you need to do, the real astute anglers, you watch the way the boat's rocking and everything, and time it. You know, so as you're going up swell, you're going up and you're rocking back, hold it, and then as you're going down the swell, keep it going.
That's what Beaker was yelling at Larry for.
Yeah, and you use the timing. And for somebody, if you haven't been used to, you practice that, but you're going to find out. Here's the deal. Here's a fish coming up, right? So you pull up, the head comes up, the boat swell goes down, he gets an opportunity to get his head down. If he gets his head down, kicks, where's he going? Down. Okay?
Yes.
If you're on it the whole time, that's why we short stroked. You know,
yes.
Even that short stroke, just keeping that pressure on him, it's planing like this. So every time he kicks, where's he going? He's kicking at you. So it's a matter of, keeping that angled up so you can keep that fish kicking itself up. That was part of, I was lucky, with some of those bigger fish, but I took advantage of when they did get their head coming up, you got to stay on it. You got to stay on it because as it happened to me, even with the 30-pound, I got chewed through and I straightened out hooks. But, you're not going to get a bigger fish like that unless you put some pressure on it. And having them on 30 with a big fish, you can't say, I'm going to play it till it's dead. You got to use that fish's energy to help kick himself to you. So it's a matter of timing. The swell, the rock of the boat.
All of that.
You have to be concerned and, aware of all that's going on.
30-second answer,
Yeah.
or quicker because I'm
Sure.
going to lose this. What boats did you run?
I ran the Mustang, but we owned at one time I had the Fortune and Cherokee. My brother was on that, and then we had the Landing. I had the Islandia from '84 to '87, and my father still owns. He's still partnered at H&M.
Oh, I didn't know that.
H&M Landing. Yeah,
Great.
we're partners there.
Favorite boat to fish on?
Oh, it was always the Mustang.
Oh, okay.
It was always the Mustang.
Gail Kadota. Something tells you might know her.
Yeah.
What tackle shops can people contact for blanks? I'd like to purchase one for my
This is her?
husband. Yeah. Is that your wife?
We call her the warden. But you know what?
Keep this, Gail. He behaves himself all the time. Of course, he paid me.
No, you know what?
Quite a bit of money to
I
say
couldn't
that.
have asked. I couldn't have looked out into a better person to spend my life with.
Yeah, I feel the same
She
way
had
about
never
my
once,
wife.
never said, I can't go fishing.
Yeah.
I'd go anyway. But I'm so thankful for having her.
I was
She
having this
was
conversation with a guy who was here the other day, and I was saying, wives should thank their lucky stars that their husbands want to fish 24 hours a day, because there's a whole bunch of other stuff out there that they could be doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the guy wants to go catch a fish, let him go.
Well, I've been blessed.
Yeah,
I was so blessed. Yeah.
Dan Smith, Phil, and Danny, all those turnarounds, man, that will build in some work ethic and endurance. We did it on the commercial boats as well. You really learn to work hard. This show is awesome. Thank you so much, Dan. Man, I'm telling you, that work ethic
Absolutely.
thing, it has served me so well. It serves me well like now. I mean, I don't plan on taking any breaks in this podcast business.
Phil, we look at the kids that came out of our system. It's almost like a farm club, right?
Yeah.
And the last kid that came out started when he was 14. That was Brian. And look at him.
Yeah.
He would bring me up in the wheelhouse and show me, equipment and stuff and this. And he says, well, he'd ask me, what do you think? I said, Brian, you see all this stuff up here? This never existed when I was around. You know more than I'll ever know. So don't ask. And so he was putting pressure on himself. because he's that way.
Yeah.
He's driven like I was driven,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
all of us
yeah.
were driven.
Which is good.
Whoa, it's great.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah.
You know?
Striving to do that every single
day.
day.
And I saw that coming out of Ray, so I told him, Brian, stay at the dock, let Ray run the boat. And now both of those guys are both, the hot
Fantastic.
dogs.
Top of the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mark Frankel. It is Mark Frankel from Bass Pro Shops. He says, you bet it's me. Danny has shared so much knowledge with me in the 90s. You shared. So here's a guy
Had to
that
be
you
bass
touched.
fishing.
Yeah.
Had to do a lot of bass fishing. But
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Chris Navarro, I think your new rod handles would be great for those that crush their rods by over tightening their reel clamps. I've definitely ruined a few blanks that way.
They won't crush because I've tightened them down. But you know what? Snug is snug. Why would you? I could tighten them down and they don't move.
Yeah.
They do not move. But I mean, I don't think they're going to crush because they use these. They've used them, and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but they're used in an extreme sport, and you won't break them.
Oh, okay.
But that's not the intent.
Yeah.
It's used to hold the reel on, and if you put it on tight, snug, it's not going to crush. It's not going to come off, but it's going to offer you a better grip. But more importantly, with these, it will help determine the structure of where the shutoff is.
Yes.
Depending on how far up or how far back you make that handle.
Yeah.
That handle. I can make this a 25-pound stick by taking an inch or so off that foregrip. And I can make it, like I said, a 40-pound stick by adding a couple inches to it. So
yeah.
It's got some new technology there that we can play with, but that's going to be a lot of the future.
Isaac says, yeah, you're right. I was bouncing that calico bass. Doesn't take a whole lot to break your rod when you're using the wrong technique. Question on this new technique of straight pulling on a fish instead of keeping the bend in your rod. It was brought up during the Big Fish seminar on Sunday. So I guess, the boys, Brian and Roger, they were talking exactly about what you're talking about, how it is so effective.
And I haven't done the slow pitch, but when I look at the angles that they're fishing, essentially it's what I'm advocating.
Right.
Even with my rail rods, if you keep it down here, even though it's straight graphite, and we're the only ones that are doing straight graphite.
Yeah.
The recoil is so much faster than any of the composites or glass. Okay, and that some of the big ones now, those rail rods are probably 4 times heavier now. Those rail rods are probably 4 times heavier than this. Is that comfortable to fish? No. And is that comfortable to fish? No. And I have corresponding light reels, machined out accurates too, that are very light and powerful.
Yeah.
So it's very comfortable. I don't know whether it's because I'm older, but there's technology in both.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Reels. You saw me, those bigger fish, I handled them with a 500 side. It did have a 2-speed with 30 on it. But it helped. I had I can't see doing that like with tackle we had that we grew up with
Yeah,
Jig
right.
Masters.
Yeah,
and stuff
right.
like that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't land them.
You couldn't do it.
You wouldn't land them.
No. But now the technology is advanced to the
Yeah.
point where
Yep.
that not only is possible, it's the best way to go.
Well, it's technology and technique combined.
Right.
It's a combination of both.
And you have to have both.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jeff says the kids, he loves teaching kids. We're all about that also. Chris Navarro, I was thinking they could fix a broken rod.
No.
Okay.
No. The idea is not to break them. And that's why I'm telling you, learn to pull at lower angles because you're taking more out of the rod. You're putting more pressure on the fish, and your likelihood of breaking it is so much, less than, once you start high sticking it, yeah, you're on your own. Matter of fact, if I see any high stuck broken rods here, I may not even warranty it. So I'm going to preface it now.
Yeah.
If you know how to fish, this is going to help you. But if you're a novice and if you high stick, you need to go get a glass rod or a composite. This is not for the faint of heart. And it's not going to be, it's specialty, with the handles, with everything corresponding to. It's going to give you a performance tool, and so, you have to treat it accordingly.
Yeah,
and you have
absolutely.
to fish it accordingly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. Slam and Sammy wants to know, Hey, are we having a sound problem out there, everybody? It seems like we may be having a sound problem.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear us?
My mic?
don't know.
Did I blow the mic up?
I don't know. If we're screwed up on that, we're screwed up. Your favorite freshwater? Yeah, sound is in and out.
In and out. Wow.
I'm looking at my mic.
How am I doing?
Yeah, you're okay. Let me see.
I'm good.
Should be okay. Is that better, you guys?
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
It could be an internet thing too. Sometimes we have a little internet problem. All right, your favorite freshwater rod and reel, and I'm assuming for bass fishing.
Well, I grew up with Vic Cutter and those guys started me. They took care of all my freshwater stuff. So
Yeah.
I started with Fenwick's back when I was young.
Yeah.
And Leon always took care of my saltwater rods. But now, everything's gone to straight graphite.
Yes.
And I fished some of my old Loomises that I caught my big bass with. But they're going to be the rods that I build from now on.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have our specs. And they've changed. They've taken away some of that high tech because they've sacrificed sensitivity. They don't want returns.
Yes.
So they've implemented glass. Well, that takes away your sensitivity. So there's things that with the rods I used to use, it's not there. It doesn't function. It doesn't have the graphite scrims and things like that. So, if I was to get back into it, actually, and I don't want to disclose too much, but
Please expose away.
We're working with guys. They want us to help redesign some things.
Oh, that's
get them
great.
into certain markets. So, yeah, that'll be fun.
You love the challenge of
Oh,
this,
I love
don't
that.
you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the sound is good now. I think it's an internet thing. I'm pretty sure Mike
Oh.
Morrison, the manager of this place, probably didn't pay the bill this month. So we'll blame him. It might be a Wi-Fi thing, which we have no control over, folks. So we'll see if we can't get that fixed. But it sounds like it's mellowed out again. All right, I'll take a cheeseburger with onion. Somebody said the sound's been good. The video blipped for a second. Seems stable now. Chris Navarro, I'm talking about a rod was crushed where the reel was seated by tightening the reel too tight. I think your new handle could repair them. I've ruined a few jig sticks that way.
You don't need, that's what I was talking about too. You can compress almost anything if you want to, but why? You just need it to stay on the reel under pressure with the fish, So as long as you can't torque it back and forth,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
And this is a graphite tube. And it's going to be held in place by the old style,
Yes.
either running tape in there, fitting it, and epoxying it.
Yeah.
But you only, along this one piece tube, like with a jig stick, we have those, you only need 3, maybe 4 places that you need to do that to,
Yes.
and it's going to stay rigid the whole time. You're never going to have to worry about it.
I'm going to tell you my Georgie Mio story. I've told this before, but maybe some people haven't heard it. I didn't know him very well. I was on the Grande with Dipley, and we were heading to Catalina, okay? And we put a guy on the wheel. It was John and I and this other guy. I won't mention the guy's name. Please don't let me screw up and mention the guy's name. He's probably gone. I'm almost sure he is. So we put a guy on the wheel who was, I hate to say this, but he was notorious kind of drinking too much.
I was just going to say.
But, you got to...
Back in the
and
day,
he
we
looked
were-
like he was... Yeah, and there was
Yeah.
drug use. And,
Yeah.
But you're thinking, like, we got to get some sleep. And, he can make it from here to Catalina, we're hoping, right? Whatever freaking reason. Hey, and give us a like out there, you guys. I don't want Danny to break into tears here, or if we only end up with 32 likes. You'll break into tears, won't you?
Yeah.
So, we're cruising, and for whatever reason, Dipley and I woke up, like, at the same time, and we look, and he has rolled up on the stern of the new Hustler 2 to where he's 20 feet from running up and hitting him.
Oh, geez.
And so Dipley, I almost said the guy's name. Dipley screams the guy's name and says, "What are you?" And he wakes up. He's sound asleep. He spins the wheel hard over, and we just go like this. And I don't know why nobody on the new Hustler too. So, but you're not looking backwards.
Right. Yeah, but you got them on radar, though.
That's true.
You should be seeing them
That's
on radar.
true. So
Yeah.
maybe they were not,
Yeah.
And Craig, the guy says, "Hey, John, I didn't think we were too close." And Dipley's response, typical Dipley, was, When you can read captain's quarters, keep out. You're too damn close. You can see in the wheelhouse. So, oh my God, that was it. No more sleep that night.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
So that was a close call. That was funny though. But did you have any interaction with John Dipley? Did
Well, I
know him?
remember, I knew John.
Yeah.
I knew John. One of the things, I'll tell you, one of the things I jumped on John about one time was in, what year was that? 1980, I think it was 84. 84.
Yeah.
You know when the albacore came in the channel?
Oh my
right? We
God.
were catching them all. Right?
I remember
and the big
Dipley
ones.
catching them. Yeah,
Remember
like 80, 90 pounders.
Yeah. My galley girl still has, Fran Kennedy still has the world record. Yeah, hers was 75. She got on 20 pounds. And she was with Russ on the first string, right? So I went out with Frank Redlew, and he has a small boat. And my old partner, Freddie Chikow, and another guy, Merle. And I'm running Frank's boat. Well, first off, his boat, this is Mike Redlew's dad.
Yeah.
Right? And so his boat is fast. He goes 50-something miles an hour. So, I push the throttles up on the Mustang, and I'm going 11 knots when I'm when I have a full bait tag, right? I push Frank's up, I'm going 50. So first thing is I see a spot of fish, and I'm idling around. I see some breaking fish. I hit it, and all of a sudden where's everybody? I almost lost all three of the guys over the back.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
So we slid on these fish, and we went bendo on these big albies. And all of a sudden we're fighting them, and I look back, and here's the bow of the queen. And he, of course, he knows Frank, because Frank put in the Morris controls for every one of the boats on the West Coast here, basically, right? And I look back, and then all I could see is prop push back, when he saw me, because he had, he didn't realize it. But
Oh my God.
But, they weren't used to fishing offshore.
Right.
So etiquette's different.
Yes.
And we had a little stricter etiquette when it came to stuff like that. And we didn't come on. You got a big ocean. You really have to be 15 feet away.
Yeah. Exactly.
But but when you're fishing the islands and you haven't fished down San Diego, and you don't understand.
It's different
what goes
game.
on. It's different.
And you got to get used to it. I mean, there were times
Yeah.
I can remember as a kid, like Dipley getting into it with somebody big time because they bowed him or something.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, pull both chutes on the bait. Let him, and then he just screwed their bite, Of course, we had no bait left, but he was so angry that I've seen some of those guys just, they have like a short fuse. And plus, there's sleep deprivation going on and everything else,
We
right?
saw it all, it was, we survived.
Yeah. Did you ever have or witness any crazy run-ins between captains where
They used
it
to be
got
in
a little...
San Diego because, some of those guys would go over to Harbor Hut and go across the street and drink a little bit. And I saw that when we commercial fished and go up in Avila and Morro Bay, the guys, but I was strict. And I was blessed to have a crew. They were more interested in fishing than partying. So it was good.
Thank God, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
cannot, the
Yeah.
partying,
Yeah.
especially with the hours you're working,
Oh yeah.
just
Yeah,
doesn't
it wouldn't
mix
take
very
much.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Let's see. These guys are sounds all good. Greg B. Is that Greg Bates, by the way? Grilled onions, red and yellow pickles, tomatoes, bacon. He's making me hungry. He says, it's a boat burger and avocado. Is that you, Greg? Greg, I think, is an integral part of the Friedman Adventures family. He was making all those burritos. If that's who it is.
Unbelievable.
He did a great job.
You did a
right?
great job. Delicious. It was awesome. Hats off to you.
Yeah. Hey, well, what was one of the best parts of this trip here, the Legends trip? I mean,
Just seeing everybody.
yeah, right?
Conk and he was right there when he was running the Freedom for Carrazzo.
Yeah.
We were two boats over.
Yeah.
Right. And so we'd always
This is
Joey
what year,
Zitko,
more or less?
This
Circa
is
what?
still in the 70s.
Okay.
And I can remember Fred Carrazzo, the owner of the boat, was real tight about different things. And Pat and I think about 6 other guys, convinced him to take the Freedom on a goof off because the albies were biting down by the mushroom.
Yeah.
So, and I knew all the San Diego guys, so they were giving me the dope on it, right? And so we told Fred, we'll bring you albacore. And so when it came to albacore, Fred got dumb. He was real tight about everything else, but he got dumb. So he said, okay, go. Just bring me some fish.
Yeah.
So we take off, And I ended up, Hero and I, my old deadhead, I just lost him a couple of years ago. He was 97, but
Sorry.
he held the wheel for Eddie McEwen and
One of my
Eddie
favorite
Deal,
guys. I
Eddie
loved
Deal on the El Dorado years ago, and
Yeah.
then myself. He would come down every weekend.
Yep.
And God bless him, he'd hold the wheel so my whole crew could sleep. And he'd come down on a Friday with chicken and sushi and everything else, and we could sleep the weekend. He saved us, you know. And but anyway, so it was Hero, and I think Joey Zitko was Pat, and we went out there. We got him on the pole.
Love
I
it.
had him on the pole.
So
and it was
explain
unbelievable.
to the folks out there,
the lift
what
post,
is
folks.
the pole?
It's back then
It's
I
so
had some
bitchin'.
fiberglass ones, but yeah, we were using a lot of cane bamboo poles. They're 10, 11 feet long with just the tuna cord. You know, you have they caught a Fieta, and forgot all the technical stuff.
Yeah.
But then you come back down to just a barbless hook.
Right.
And you pin a chovy on it, you drop it in the water, you ease it down, and you just lift them right
You
out.
have to
You have to keep your rod up. You
yes,
got to get it so the
you don't
fish
want them to get their head on you.
they get their head down.
You're screwed.
There's a term that I use, but I don't want to use it on the thing. But it's
You can abbreviate.
It's your AH. They called it getting AH because you'd go.
Yeah, you're pinned, man.
And this thing the rod would go like this, and you pray that it would pop off. You know.
Yeah, you kind of so they're swimming up to eat the bait. You want to keep that
You
motion
got to time
going.
him so the minute he's swimming up in it, you're already starting
You're
to lift,
coming
and we
up with
throw
him.
him right on.
Yeah.
But we used to commercial fish because I had a
Yeah.
rack on the Mustang too. So,
Awesome.
but that was one of our fun trips that Pat and I laughed about and talked about.
Charles Zimmer wants to know, this is going to get you in trouble. No, what captain in the past had the worst attitude? Who was somebody that had the worst? You can't say that, can you? Unless he's dead or something. Yeah, you can say it. Go ahead. Let's start something here tonight.
Let me think. I'll come back to that. Let me think about
All
that.
right.
Yeah,
Jeff says, awesome burritos. Brian Wynn. You know Brian? He gave this great seminar.
Yes, I know Brian.
Brian says, Rambo on the Cortez says of the fleet, I want everybody to catch fish. I just want to catch a couple of more than them. That is so true, right? Because you want, if everybody's catching them, that's the magnet that's going to bring people. And
You know, we were an open party. We were a charter. But I just have that in me.
yeah,
You know, I mean, playing football, any sport, I like to win.
yes,
And if I'm going to leave the dock an hour before everybody, I want to be in clean water. And that was one of the things, I was fortunate enough to have my code boat here, George Mayo.
yeah,
And this had a lot to do with bringing the fleets together, the Northern Fleet, Southern Fleet. We went down there, we didn't tell anybody, but we went down with the first color scanning sonars. And when everybody's tracking straight in line for jig strikes, and we're turning, circling, throwing bait, stopping, it changed.
Yeah.
It changed the industry as far as that. And I credit George Mayo.
really.
George was the first. He had an old black and white. And so did Stinger on the Holiday, Ray Montero.
Yeah,
But, the color one was you hit that, hit a spot and you see the red and you turn on it. And the kids, I didn't even have to say anything. You'll hear skippers going on, throw bait.
Yeah.
The boat turns. My
knew.
kids were on the inboard corner. That bait was going out.
Yeah.
And so, no, it was just a phenomenal deal. And I'm blessed to have the kind of crews that I had. But they were all fishermen. I was the worst gaffer on the boat. Those kids had probably a 90% headshot.
Oh, wow.
thing
That's
because
important
we dealt
with some groups of
we
people
dealt
want.
a lot of Buddha heads.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
So
like
you don't
Yo's group,
put,
man,
you don't
want
put
to
them in the
eyeball 'em.
sashimi. That's it.
Yeah, I
Double
know.
eyeballs.
Believe me, I gaffed some fish mid-body, and I thought I was like, it was brutal, You learn how to put that gaff right through their eyeballs.
Yeah,
with
you
those
develop
guys.
different skills. And,
What's the name on your rods? Everybody wants to know.
well, Semperfish is the name of the company.
Semper spelled
was
S-E-M-P-E-R?
S-E-M. Yeah, like Semper Fi, but
Yeah,
Semper
like-
means always.
Yes.
So it's just saying always fish.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and it's a tribute. My dad, my uncles,
Marine
they
Corps?
were all.
Or
Well,
in
no,
the-
they were all in the military, but
Yeah.
it takes that.
Yeah,
takes
right.
that note. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's see. Scott Grant, great guy, by the way. Scott, how are you doing? Thanks for being here. Scott says, do you think the bite is better today than past decades? Do you have a public opinion on closures? Oh, well, I'm going to have to write these down.
Oh, there.
Is 2 hooks okay? with you for deep rock cod fishing. So let's take them one at a time, and hopefully they won't go away. Let's see. Is the bite better today than it was?
Oh, I absolutely think so.
100%, right?
Yeah, and we're more efficient with the tackle we have too.
Yes.
You know.
But I mean, the bite is better.
Oh, the bite's phenomenal.
Yeah.
We never saw bluefin bites
No.
like this. Never.
No, it's absolutely. Do you like closures? You're for closures?
No,
against
you know what?
closures?
I'm for common sense.
Yeah.
Which doesn't go hand in hand with California.
Yeah.
You know,
With
I'm
the
going
political class
to
you're
give you a
talking about?
perfect one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you a couple examples.
Please.
One was the closures up in the MPLAs in the Channel Islands.
Yes.
Okay. Russ Iser calls me one night, says, "Hey Dan, we got to go up north and go to a hearing," and we're talking about the closures up in the Channel Islands. And you have all these young biologists out of UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
You know, no time on the water. You know, and I questioned them on that too. But you know, I went up. I said, "So why are they closing?" "Well, they're not seeing any sand bass up in this area of the Channel Islands." I said, "What time of the year were the surveys done?" I says, "In the winter." Well, I said, "I hope not, because they're on their way down to Mexico to spawn." Not even knowing these things.
Yeah, right. Just
and
guessing
yet,
at
and
it,
still
right?
closing it
Yeah.
blows me away. Now
I know.
my
they
brother,
call that the best available science, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Which means.
Yeah. And I
nothing.
asked the kid, "How much time do you have on the water?" "Well, none." I says, "Well, that shows."
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't mind saying that.
Right.
Because it's true.
Yeah, because it's affecting your business and your
absolutely.
industry. And
Okay, now even the guys that have been on the water a long time. Here's another one. My brother on the Outer Limits. You know, when he was working with Kenny Frankie and now with Paul.
Yeah.
You know, they do a lot of research stuff, and they have equipment like you know, these decompression chambers now, where they can bring up a cow cod, decompress it.
Yeah.
And they have them living at SeaWorld.
Yeah, right.
You know, and scripts.
Yeah.
Okay, so up until then, we've got these closures on cow cod, right? Now, I recall fishing cow cod and usually 100 fathoms or more
Yeah,
when
right.
we were fishing.
Sometimes
right?
130.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we're starting to see cow cod in 30 fathoms.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, here, this will explain everything. So they put the closure on the cow cod, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now they have this decompression machine. So now they can bring it up. They got one on the 43, which is what, 38 miles out of San Diego?
Yeah.
Okay. Put a tracking tag on it. It goes down after they decompress it. Okay. In 1 week, where do you think that fish would be? You know, I'm thinking maybe the east end of Clemente,
Yeah.
60-mile bank outstretch.
Yeah.
You know, so take a guess. Where do you think that fish showed up?
In how much time?
In 1 week. I mean, you look at the shape of cow. It's
Oh,
it's like me. I'm
The
not doing any wind sprints.
Channel Islands.
Not bad. Conception.
Wow. Well,
Now,
that's
if
up
we
that
don't
way.
know that,
Yeah.
how in the world do these biologists, the fish and game people, and everybody else make determinations on that? I have real problems with that.
Yeah.
Because it's not science.
I agree.
It's their own agenda.
Real quick, 2 hooks for rock cod fishing now. Is that okay with you?
Oh yeah, it's no problem. What can I say? I used to
Yeah,
fish
I
15.
know, it is
I
what
used
it
to
is.
fish 15 hooks when we used to rock
I
cod fish.
fished 50, man. You
Well,
know,
yeah, when we commercial
fished.
fished. Yeah, we
that
commercial
was-
fished, we did.
Dan Smith, jack pole fishing for albacore was so much fun, man. Was it ever, Dan? Got to turn their heads and keep them coming. Man, you guys are sending me back to the days of fishing albacore with my dad. Love it. Yeah, there's a lot of memories there for everybody.
The Mustang was one of the few drakes that had brackets on the stern. The whole stern came off, had these brackets, and we had a rack that went all the way across.
Ooh.
So at the end of the year, like Taka didn't let us fish, and we was about customer service, and he's absolutely right. But
Yeah.
then he would let us take it out on a fish in October, so we'd go up to Morro Bay and Avalon outside Frisco. You
Get
know.
in the racks.
But we had a canopy, so if the squids came off, nobody would get the head split open.
Yeah.
You know, but with that rack went all the way across and only sat about that high off the
So
water.
the
so it
rack
was easy.
is for everybody? What's a rack?
Oh, it's a rack. It sat down. It's a big galvanized thing. It was a 20-foot rack went across the stern on a Mustang.
And you stand it.
And you stand in it, it had brackets, but like our butt height would be where the deck is.
Yeah.
So to lift the fish, we'd only have to lift them that high out of
Right.
the water. You know. and
Were you winging the fish in those days, or just tossing them on deck and letting them?
we
sit the
tried,
hook?
but it was faster for us to. If they ate the squid, it's easy because you can just throw them
And so
shake it.
winging for everybody out there is you catch the fish
You
under
bring
your
them in
arm.
as the fish is coming towards you. You push the rod back, and it's
Yes.
just like a pendulum.
Yes.
It stops the momentum, so you can grab them, grab the hook,
Yep.
and put them and throw them back.
Great times, right, man?
Unbelievable. Best time I ever had in my life was commercial fishing.
Slam and Sammy, what's your favorite jig? I'm going to say a Tatty 45 for me. He wants to know your favorite jig.
Tatty 45.
Really? Yeah, it's old school guys.
Tatty
huh?
45. Well, I'm looking at your board back here, Phil.
Yeah.
You know that green, that mint green?
Yeah. This
Let
one?
me tell you how that came about. Taddy Shimizu used to come down and bring us 6-packs all the time. Patty
Yeah.
would come along with Billy, okay? And that was the color of the Mustang.
Yeah.
It was like a seafoam
It
green.
was green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, our 45s were so chewed up, we would sit there when we were painting the boat, we would just take them and we'd shoot them. And we'd shoot them that color because that was the color of the Mustang. And we go to Clemente and we would get eaten up on those things. So finally, we talked to Tad. I'd show him all the teeth marks and everything. And that's, the old guys that've been around, Tad, we've always called it Mustang green, but they call it mint green.
I like Mustang green. That's
where-
better,
where it
man.
came
That's a
from
throwback.
back in the old days. Yep.
Greg says he's absolutely right, and I'm remiss for not mentioning on the burritos, Chef Jason, Anthony. Hey, don't leave out John. Don't leave out Dennis. All those guys that were down there
Phenomenal.
cooking.
I
They
mean,
did
it was
great
just a
job.
great day, but I mean, the burritos,
I know.
you guys
They
killed
it.
They killed it.
They killed it. I'm so
They
proud
killed
of those guys and so thankful. Tangle Diver loves the name of your rods. He says, I love that name.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. I'm a Marine. Understand that name. Hell yeah. All right. 540 Singer. Common sense is not common anymore.
Well, that's a fact.
Is that true?
That's a fact.
Yeah, common sense is
Yeah.
out the
Yeah.
freaking
Yeah.
window.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get into the political stuff, but we can't even identify. I know. Should I get into
you know
it?
what?
You can't
No,
even-
I'm too old school. They don't want to hear from me. I'm very old school.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is like obvious stuff.
Yeah, we need our country back, Phil. We need things
just
back
the
the way it
basic
was,
stuff like
Yeah.
our families,
Courtesy, safety.
yeah,
I mean, that's a big thing,
yeah, and I don't know. Some of this nonsense where you've got a biological guy killing the girls in girls' sports is absolute. First of all, I think that says more about the biological guy who's doing it being a narcissistic egomaniac to do that.
Well, if he wants to do that, hang it out there and we'll make him a girl. Get the samurai sword.
Boy,
Okay,
you're not
fine.
kidding. There it is right there. See it?
That's perfect.
Yeah. Alan brought that down to me because he said, you make your albacore prediction every year and you fall on the sword, and then we have Dorado everywhere. And so just keep falling on the sword. Keep making that dumb
I'm going to
prediction
tell
of
you.
yours.
I'm going to tell you one that blows everything around. This is one reason why I've never been big on the biologist. Okay, 83 El Nino. We had. You remember that?
Yeah,
it was
hell yeah.
absolutely nuts. Yellowfin tuna. All the kelp died along the coast here. The water got
Yes.
very warm.
Yeah,
Okay?
wiped it out.
So biologists said the oceans are going to die, and we were blessed by that. You know why?
Why?
Ralph Miller panicked and sold this H&M landing that year. Okay,
Oh,
it was
shoot.
hot water. That
Because
was
he
El
thought
Nino.
it was over.
That was El Nino.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. Big eye year, yellowfin year. Dorado. In that short period of time before June and into May,
Yeah.
we ended up with a record albacore year in 84 and 85. And
Yeah.
paying for the landing.
Yeah. How amazing.
So, when it comes to, and Russ Eisner told me this for many years too, and I always trusted Russ because of the experience level and all the years of experience. We don't know what's going on. It's
No.
Mother Nature,
Yeah.
So how are you going to take El Nino, just hotter than heck water,
Yeah.
and go into a cold water? Record albacore years in 84 and
Yeah,
85.
right. Well, this year is a La Nina year, and we have wall-to-wall Dorado, historic catches of Dorado.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't figure it out.
No.
It's such an enigma. The whole thing.
And you know what? In a way, it's a good thing. If we figured everything out,
It'd be
we'd be
boring.
wiping out, and we'd be wiping out species.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think it's Mother Nature taking its course and protecting itself too.
Yeah, these dumb politicians that predict New York's going to be underwater, and they need to make those predictions 100 years out, so they've already made all their money and
Tell
they're
me something.
dead
Yes.
by the time. But some of
Yes.
these morons are doing in 20 years ago they said in 10 years, New York, and you want to make that prediction about 100 years out. And then you can
let's let you
be
put
the
your money.
grifter.
Let's put
Here
your
we
money
go
out of your
now.
pocket on that. Let's see.
There we go. We're starting to get revved up here now. This is going to turn into a political show. No, we don't want to do that. Tangle Diver 2000 Santa Barbara with United Anglers. Mark, hi Phil and Danny. How do you guys feel about catch and releasing big fish? How do you feel about that? I'll tell you a story about that.
You know, I can honestly, I can see that even more so right now, and I'll be honest, I'll tell you why too. Like particularly this tuna going down to 2, I think that's great, and I'll tell you why. My processing bills when I get in from a boat down to San Diego, it's ridiculous, and
God,
you know,
that's expensive, isn't it?
with tuna, you know, if you're going to catch a bluefin, you're going to probably want it sashimi, making poke out of it, stuff like that. My dad, this is a true story, back in the 70s, he went in a freezer in garage and he looked at the dates, and when we used to wrap it in the white paper and we have the dated, he looked at that and saw some old dates. He went in with a trash can, emptied it all out, and says, give it all away, between my brother and I, you know, having the boats and fishing line. And so we did, because he says, you know, it's going to come back around with our friends and everything else.
Yeah.
But, you know, let everybody enjoy it fresh. And,
I'm
you know,
100%
I can
with him.
I vacuum pack certain things that I know, you know, I want at different times. I never used to eat yellowtail until a few years back. I mean, I saw so much of it, I didn't want it.
Yeah,
now I
understand
love
that.
it.
Yeah.
Now I love it. And, you know, if I'm going to cook it or even make ceviche, you know, even that's morphed. You know, I was down at Bay of LA.
Yeah.
You know how when we grew up, all that stuff the lime had to cook that meat till it was almost white.
Right.
Now they're eating it like sashimi.
Yeah, like 20
The
minutes.
pangeros, not even. I see them cut the fish, squeeze the lime.
And
I'm going to give you a great recipe, folks. It's quick and it's a killer at a party.
I can't wait.
You cut cut it like sashimi. The
What are you talking about? Yellowtail or
yellowtail.
bluefin? Okay, yellowtail.
Yellowfin. Yeah, yellowtail.
Yeah.
Okay. You cut it, squeeze lime, hit it with soy sauce, and I use Kikkoman, light. Tapatio. Okay. Then I layer some cilantro, chop up some cilantro.
Getting me
Throw it
hungry.
at the top, right? And then I do this for aesthetic reasons too. Then I will put diced purple, red onions.
Yeah.
Dice it up, put it on there. So now it's getting pretty too. You
Yeah.
got the orange from the
Presentation,
Tapatio.
man.
Oh, that's all of it, right?
Yeah.
And then if you finish it off with serranos. Now you can do it with or without seeds, but the flavor gives it the pop. And just the corn chips, just the tortilla chips.
I'm in. That sounds so good.
Unbelievable. We've been killing it at parties at the house and stuff, and I've been telling people about it. And I did it on the boat on my American Angler trip, and I did 2 trays in the galley. I told them I'll do one of the appetizer nights, and I did that, and it just got wiped out.
Yeah.
I double stacked it there, you know, so you got, you know, probably a 25-pound fish or maybe a couple fish in there, and we killed it. It's unbelievable, but it's changed.
I was driving to Laredo and I stopped in Santa Rosalia and we wanted to have lunch and I said, hey, do you have ceviche? And they said, no, we don't have any made, but we can make some. And I'm thinking, well, you know, I used to, this is 20 years ago.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I used to, you know, 3 hours or, you know, whatever. So like 10 minutes later, here comes the ceviche and I'm like, oh my God, to die for.
Oh,
delicious.
unbelievable.
I mean,
Oh, come on,
you eat
hamachi?
sashimi.
Yeah, come on, you got
Yeah,
hamachi.
exactly.
But,
I don't know how you
yeah.
can beat that.
No, it's
all right. And releasing big fish, I'll tell you a story. A guy that I know really well, Bob Osborne, he told me that when he went to Florida, he wanted to catch these redfish, which I know nothing about.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get this giant one. And then they put the slot limit in. And so he said he didn't know how he was going to, he wanted to get a big fish and take it. And he said he didn't know how he was going to feel about releasing it. And then he saw what it had done for that entire industry over there. That slot limit produced all these big fish, and it made kind of a fishery that was on the brink robust. And
That's
he said he
awesome.
felt great throwing it
Yeah,
back.
absolutely.
And it was bitching. I
Absolutely.
think we should have a slot limit on calico bass. That would be, keep those and then release those big ones.
Here's the thing that we're not addressing, Phil,
Yeah.
that bugs the heck out of me.
Yeah.
We got a moratorium on black sea bass.
I know.
What does a mature black sea bass eat? Sheephead, whitefish, calico bass.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're concerned with the calico bass. Why aren't we issuing tags? I pay for a tag to
Go catch a
catch
black
a sea bass and
Yeah.
eat it. They're delicious.
They are delicious.
You know?
Now, how do you
But-
know that? People are wondering. There was a
How do I
time
know
when they
that?
were not outlawed, and you can do it in Mexico.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
You buy it in fish markets.
Exactly.
It's called mero.
And they are delicious. You know,
They are.
They are delicious.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, I don't even want a big one, but you know, a real big one. But you know, we're implementing these rules for calico bass, and yet
We're ignoring
the population of black sea bass is untapped. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
unintended
And-
consequences, right?
You know, it's just if we had some common sense, Phil.
Yeah, exactly.
Sell us tags. You could put that back in the war chest. But sell us tags and keep them monitored that way. You can monitor them that way.
Yes, absolutely. Steve Bermudez wants to know the story about my dad being angry with me that I wanted to go fishing the rest of my life. I'm not sure about that. It would be my mom anyway, Steve. So, common mistakes. Simon Sammy wants to know common mistakes you see on fishing boats by anglers.
Not listening to the crew. One, I mean, they're there every day. You know, if they're going to give you a hint as to where you hook your bait or what lines you're going to, all the little things, you know. Now, a good astute angler, you'll see what goes on. I mean, it was funny because even with us the other day, I saw where my fault was right off the bat because I had short top shots for my bluefin.
Yes.
And I had to go to a heavier line, but mono, to get bit. And thank God I went heavier because for some reason I was hanging these bigger fish, and even it was work. And on the lighter stuff, forget it. It had no chance.
So Dan Smith says we were having this political discussion about the boys or the biological men and the girls sports and everything.
Yeah.
Dan says he wants to identify as a sea lion, and if he does, can he sleep on your boat? And Simon Sammy loves it, man. He's cracking up on that one too. Yeah, why not? What the hell, right? Too much. 540
geez.
Slinger, that yellowtail sounds awesome, Danny. It really does.
It is good.
I'm doing that.
It is
man.
unbelievable. Folks.
Maybe even, how about a little sesame oil on that too?
Oh, I imagine. But you know,
That's like pokey almost. at
yeah,
that
I'm
point.
doing it the way those pungeros did it, and I'll
Yeah.
tell you, they nailed it.
Yeah,
It was
I'm in.
phenomenal.
I'm
Just
in.
like it was simple. We were at the lawn trap. He made it real fast, and we wiped that thing out. He was using crackers.
Yeah.
I like going to our stores now that make the fresh tortillas
Yeah.
and,
Oh, I love that.
putting them on that. Man, you
There's
can't-
nothing
you cannot
better.
beat it. Yeah.
Roland says, my Peruvian wife says ceviche only needs a short soak in lime juice, and Peruvian ceviche is
She's
one of the
absolutely
very
right.
best.
I wish I would have known that before.
Like only a few minutes longer,
Yeah.
it's overcooked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what
Yeah,
you're saying.
exactly. We just basically eating sashimi with lime on it. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But it really enhances the flavor. It's tremendous. It
This
really
goes to Mark's question. I saw a podcast, and that was one of the topics about releasing trophy fish, about pulling it out of the water. He said, you take the protective slime away from the fish.
Not by pulling it on the water. It's going to be if it hits the deck and the carpet gets it or something.
Yeah.
That is. But you know, we've been pretty lucky that toward the end of this is freshwater bass.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You know, you're not eating them. But you know, I got to tell you, we were bad in the early days because we were competing with the San Diego captains, and it was an ego deal. I mean, even the Sansom brothers, Don and Danny.
Yeah.
Oh, they were fierce against each other. They
Yeah.
used to have $100 standing, per fish, and it was brutal.
Yeah.
You know, it
Cutthroat.
was cutthroat.
Yeah.
Always. But so it was an ego deal. Let's
Yeah.
face it, it was an ego deal too. So we didn't. But now, yeah, I wouldn't think of getting them. And we were there at a time that we were blessed with that because it was really was the first cross generation between the northern bass that were indigenous to California
Yeah.
and the Floridas that got brought in 1959.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was part of the reason why I went to UC San Diego, because they were first released in the San Diego Lakes. I didn't tell my dad that one either, but yeah.
I'm going there because the academic
Absolutely.
environment
Yeah.
is so strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's good bass fishing right there.
Phil, I got a picture on my phone here, and back then, it was from a yellowtail derby in 1966, so that was before I went
San
to college.
Diego?
In San Diego.
Yeah, what they call that? I
It was the
forget.
yellowtail derby.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But
They gave
Billy
away
Casper,
cars and everything,
cars and all kinds of
yeah.
stuff. But it gave the prices of the boats.
Yeah.
It was $12 to fish yellowtail and $15 to fish albacore, $2 for a bunk. And so as a kid, I slept in the galley because
Me
at
too.
$2 I could
And
eat
they'd
a
write-
hamburger and I could eat my food.
They
for
would write
$2.
NB on your ticket, right?
No bug. Galley, baby.
And then
But we're kids.
I'd go down and sneak down. Nobody ever effed with me
Yeah,
if I did.
yeah.
But most of the time
Yeah,
I'd like
yeah,
sleep
yeah.
in the galley.
Yeah,
Did a lot
yeah.
of that on the
Oh
prowler.
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
We went through a different time.
I
Now
know,
we got
man.
staterooms there.
Yeah, I know,
come on.
right? No kidding.
Yeah.
Hurricane Chris says new rockfish laws coming. I think March is closed next year.
I go back again to, these rules and regulations that are implemented by a bureaucratic group that doesn't really understand it, doesn't fish. The people that understand what's going on out there in the environment, generally the fishermen.
Yeah.
And if they're smart, the fishermen, if they're smart enough, they'll protect their own resources.
Yeah, of course they will.
You don't fish it to extinction. That's
Right.
stupid on your
That's
part. Of your
ridiculous,
fishermen.
yeah.
So I would say that if they implemented their input more than a biologist, I guarantee you that's a better choice. Like I said, I've dealt with the biologists that had no time on the water, and yet they're making these decisions. I'll give you another one. I was on the board state fishing game with Pat Marley and a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
We went to do a hearing about the quagga mussels. And so at that meeting, Dave Myers, there were a lot of guys, Fenwick, and a lot of guys were on that board. And what we told them at the time was, let's drive our bass boats through, put a fluid in our live wells, flush everything out. It's just a dip where you can drive it through, pour it in, and it drains out. And it kills it, right? They decided they didn't like that idea. And look what we have now.
A mess.
You got to tag your prop. You can't
Oh, my
fish.
God.
I mean, I used to go to Castaic. I was blown out. I would go to Piru, or there's times I get off the lake, and if it was bad enough, it was too windy or something, run up to Piru or Casitas. But John Collins and Danny Sansom, right?
Yeah, yeah, of
okay,
course.
here, I'm going to give you a story nobody knows.
Yeah.
This is funny.
I can't
This
wait.
is the day that those two broke up. They fished together all the time.
Oh, and they had a falling out? That was it?
And let me tell you why. And I'm good friends with both of them.
Yeah.
I love them all.
Yeah.
Those guys are great guys.
This sounds good.
So we show up at Castaic, and I'm first in line, so I dump in and I take off. So I'm not looking back to see who it is. I know Danny's there, because I knew his.
Well, you're
he had-
getting out
he had
to
a
your
Black
spot.
Ranger. Yeah, I'm worried about hitting position alpha for me. We fished all day, and I'm kind of I kept binoculars. I knew what everybody was doing, and I don't see Danny. And I know he's not fishing in a cove. Knowing him, he's going to be fishing a main spot on a lake where you got some current somewhere, And John Collins.
Yeah.
I don't see him. Well, I wonder what the heck they're doing. They can't be in a cove. But anyway, we do our deal. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I see his boat. He had a black bottom on his Ranger. It was very easy to identify. And I go, there he is. I don't know where I missed him, right? We get to the parking lot. John's sitting there like this. And Danny's running around. I was going, where the heck were you? John goes, ask him. Now, this is my read on those lakes, like Castaic. So I'd always throw a bait on the spot first. Danny was his mentality, where he ran things, unless he got a meter mark, he wouldn't stop on it.
Uh-huh.
So they'd hit these spots, and hit a spot, don't see a fish, take off, hit another spot. Well, they sat there. He hit all these spots early, pulled the boat out of the water, went up to Casitas, never wet a line, never put a line in the water. You know what a fisherman John is.
Yeah,
He's a great fisherman.
Yeah.
And he loves to fish. He never put a line in the water. He run up to Casitas. Danny turns the meter on. They never meter a fish. They pull the boat out, come back to Castaic, and that's when I saw him in the afternoon. Well, John, by this time, when I said, hey, where'd you guys go? John just sat there like this. I mean, he was dying. And that was the day that they broke up.
The romance came to an end.
Romance was over. And yet,
Did they reconcile?
I'm sure years later, but
They were
being on the
pissed.
boat, and on the American Angler,
Yeah.
they're a great team. They're great, both unbelievable fishermen.
Yeah.
They're great fishermen
Yes.
and everything else. And I was afraid the first time I rode on the American Angler, I said, oh my God, I wonder if Danny's fishes like he fishes bass. But no, he is good. Danny is good. And
Mark-
John too. They're both. Yeah.
Mark has a question for you.
Yeah.
He says, Danny, what would be the best way to convince any charter boat not to gaff a fish and to release it? Also, what do you think about getting rid of the fish counts on boats? Well, I don't think that's ever going to happen, but you should be able to. You should be able to tell a guy.
You should be able to have
I
that
don't want.
choice if
I
you
want
want
to
to
release
release
that
a
fish.
fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You probably run into some problems on open party boats more than a charter boat, I'm guessing. But I would think. I would think even
they're
those,
looking at that. But I mean, you could always say, okay, the fish made it to the gaff with a razor on it.
Yeah.
We cut it loose.
right.
Okay, you score one.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Are you
hit
talking
the
about
dock.
that razor on the gaff? That,
I've seen stuff like that.
I've
It'll
seen it.
slide up and you can just pull it.
Dipley used to tell me that in the day they had that razor on the gaff so that if one of the guys who was a regular passenger had a bigger fish than the jackpot fish, you just reach out there.
There's a little bit of that.
Brush
That
the
went on.
line,
It was,
and bye
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
poor guy that just paid, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know all the crooked stuff that used to
Yeah,
go
they
on
used
in
to go on
this
that,
business years
and
ago.
you know, and we were lucky being on a charter boat because we never.
Oh
we
my
never
God!
dealt with stuff
Yeah,
like
I was
that,
on
yeah.
open party, so I saw a lot of that stuff. And you know these guys that just put the lead weights in the fish and
Oh my God!
yeah, I mean
I would just say, hey, here's the plank, short plank, but you're going in.
But I saw that on sport boats where a guy would have a big sheep's head, and then this blue perch would like. I'm like, wait a second.
Well,
there's something out there.
Here's a good one. I used to talk to all the guys that did the old half days, like on Peterson's boat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Taka when he was running Sport King. This
Yeah.
is in the early '60s and stuff. He says they would have a big calico bass and they pull it out for the jackpot. It'd be in the bow tank or something.
Oh, right.
They pull it out. It was so old the head ripped off from the body, and I died. But there was shenanigans that went on like that.
There was all kinds of-
Unfortunately, but you know,
I remember him keeping a bonita, trying to keep a big bonita alive in the bow bait tank. And
Oh,
the
my
guy
God.
that threw it, he pins it on, goes up there, no one's looking, he throws it over, he friggin' reels it in, and it looks dead. I mean, it comes up like you going like this,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, this is, oh my God. And he comes back and hangs it on the, oh my God. It was
Unbelievable.
brutal, let me tell you. All right, Victor Blackfin, we got 3 black sea bass at Bay of LA on the jig, 13 kilos each. Great fish, very tasty.
Delicious.
Yeah, it is.
Delicious. You know what? I'm into managing them. Like we said, and in our waters here, a mature black sea bass, I don't know how many calicos, whitefish, everything that thing would eat, but it would do a lot of damage.
Of course.
Do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I don't know how much they have to eat, but a lot.
Let's use our head state of California. Sell tags like you would a deer tag or any other tag.
Well,
You could monitor them.
Yeah, but you're being unreasonable. Let's use our heads.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
It's a tough time.
There's got to be some political angle where, it's about the money or the power.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on
No,
this.
I know. I can go from there too, taking a run
I'm
too.
telling you,
but
this
yeah,
world
it's
we're
sad.
living in now
It is sad.
people that people that are normally quiet, they need to start speaking up.
Well, and Phil, that's what I said, say with the cow cut. Who's making that determination? A college kid that's never fished? He has no idea.
Right.
But
This kind of goes back to this whole elitist, like, you dumb fishermen are not up to our level of,
Oh, yeah.
we're the elite. We've studied in school for 4 years, and I got a 4-year degree from
but
Loyola.
you don't know what bathroom to go in though.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
my God, here we go.
Yeah.
I've got a 4-year degree from Loyola, and I mean, I could have done that on my. I mean, I'm not disparaging my university. I love Loyola. I had a great time there, but I could read history. But I was a history major. It was pretty much a useless degree. I used it. One of the first times I used it was when I went and taught in China 5 years ago.
Oh,
Pretty
wow.
much,
Cool.
because I always started my own
yeah.
businesses.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
used it when I taught at Bishop Montgomery High School.
Oh,
when I
awesome.
first got out of Loyola,
Awesome.
and it was a Catholic school, so I didn't need.
Right.
I
right.
had gone to school
Two
there,
of our
and you
kids.
don't need a.
Two of our kids. Gail's two oldest.
Oh yeah.
Tara and Corey.
By the
went
way,
to Bishop
Gail-
Montgomery. Yeah.
Can I take my hat? I don't want to blind her or anything, but Gail just invited me over to your place for your ceviche one of these nights. And I
Perfect.
will be there,
Absolutely.
Gail. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. I deeply appreciate that.
That's
I can't
awesome.
wait.
Oh.
Do we have to
I
go
love
catch a
it.
yellowtail now? Or
No,
what?
I got plenty. They're all ready to go. Just
Perfect.
nice loins.
Oh my God, Gail,
Let
thank
'em
you
fall
so much.
perfect.
And then we'll be able to do a video on it, for God's sake.
Cooking. Oddly enough, Kathy Miller would come to me every year and say, "What seminar do you want to do at Day of the Dogs?" I says, "I don't want to. I said, you know what I want to do? A good friend of mine, they used to be one of the captains on the New Hustler.
Yeah.
His kids would not eat sashimi, just like my kids.
Yeah.
And so what he did was he took the tuna loins and rolled them in furikake and seared the sides. Seared all 4 sides real quick. So it stayed raw in the middle.
Yeah.
Cut it so it was just barely seared on the outside. Sliced it and served it. And his kids went crazy. So I went, well, what the heck? I'll try it. Well, I tried it at a party at our house. And my kids, I had to chase them out of it. They were hoarding
the
the
whole
thing. I
thing?
said, get out of here. So I started thinking about that. And I actually went to Bart Hall about that too.
Yeah.
Later on, I said, you know what? Teaching these. So I did this at Day at the Docks. And it went over so well. We did the deal on the boat, one of the boats. And I'm thinking, you know, you got all these wives that had all that fish. What are they going to do with it if they don't eat sashimi?
Yeah, right.
But, you know, they have the pride of being able to do this things very simple, you know. And so, you know, we got them to do it. Bart started doing it. I brought Andy, who owns the LA Sushi Institute, and I'll introduce you to him.
I want to meet. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But I mean, you know, when you start bringing in the wives,
Yeah,
now, when you're
absolutely.
walking around a big show, what do? They pick up a T-shirt, a knick-knack for
Yeah.
the kids and pushing the kids in the stroller. They have a seminar on how to cook. They're going to be pushing their husbands out the door. Go get me a yellowfin and a tuna and this and that because we're going to have a party. And you know, that is one of the coolest things we've ever did.
Absolutely.
So,
And then you got this symbiotic.
yeah.
Then you got your wife, instead of saying, "Oh, you're going fishing again," she's saying, "Yeah, go."
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I can't buy this.
Exactly.
You can't buy that fish
Exactly.
that you catch.
Exactly.
And now the way they take care of fish on sport boats.
Oh my God, sushi
Remember
grade.
albacore in the
Oh
sack
yeah, back
for-
in the old days in the sun.
Yeah, and it still
hit it with
tasted
water.
pretty damn good.
Yeah, but you know now you can do all these fancy things, and it becomes you know a showcase at your house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's a neat deal to involve your wives too. So that's nice.
Dan Smith and Slam and Sammy, they are still talking about transitioning into sea lions and sleeping on your boat, I think.
You won't want to be in my boat. I wasn't real.
Are you up on the rockfish regs? I'm not.
No, I'm
so
not.
Sammy
I'm
says
not.
that he thinks that we can fish deeper next year.
But-
I think you're right.
To me, it makes sense because I gave you my opinion on, you know, Fish and Game's assessment on the populations and everything. I don't agree with that, you know. And you know, now that I've talked to my brother where they're seeing cows in 30 fathoms. Well, heck, we never saw them that shallow. It's telling me that they're overpopulated in those areas. So
What boat were you on today?
Me? Nothing.
Oh, good to see you. You want to say hi to everybody?
Sure.
All right, stick your head in there real quick. We'll let you
all
do
right.
it. This young man is deckhand on what boat?
Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
Pinhead
Oh.
on the Monte, pinhead on the...
Native son?
Yeah, and then I'm on payroll on the Sea Adventure 80 San Diego.
Oh, nice. Say hi to Mike for me.
Oh,
and
man.
Maggie.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
will.
Perfect.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, Mike wasn't running the boat when I went, so whatever.
All right, good to see you.
Good deal.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. I like this
Well, that's
place,
our
man.
it's a future,
Yeah,
right?
he's a nice
That's what
kid.
it
You
takes.
can see that.
Yeah,
You can see he's a good kid.
that's exactly it.
Yeah,
He'll be
where
a-
were we, by the
he'll be
way?
a captain
Were we
one
talking
day.
about something or not?
I think we were doing food.
Oh, we were
and
doing
stuff, like different
rockfish
things.
and food.
Oh yeah, that's
Deeper.
right, rockfish.
All right, Israel de la Cruz, who's one of the finest family men you'll ever meet. I love this guy. Lake Casitas hold big fish. Danny, what's your go-to lake for bass fishing in San Diego?
San Diego.
St. James.
I would say as far as structure went, Vicente, San Vicente.
Yeah.
You know, had some of the best structure where we like to fish. Miramar held some big fish, but it was a bowl.
Yeah.
You know, it was a trout fishery. You know, and we fished it. You know, the San Diego guys were way sharper on that. Otay was another one. Hodges opened later
There's
on.
a lot of good lakes there.
There's
huh?
some good lakes.
Yeah.
And they do a good job of managing. What they do is they close certain ones down certain days of the week. And,
Yeah.
and they rotate around. And I like that. That's a nice deal.
All right. If the questions start flying by, I'm going to go back to them. But help me with something.
Yeah.
What am I missing about freshwater fishing? I cannot. My kids take me on a bass boat. They've got a bass boat. They're both crazy about it. Once I got into the saltwater game, the freshwater game just did not have any appeal for me.
it's-
What am I missing?
It's
Because you love it. Buzz
tough.
Brizendine and all
Well,
these
you know
guys.
what? It's different though.
It is.
You know, you're assessment of the bite, like on our bites, making those mental changes right away, that's always going to be more challenging.
Yeah.
With the freshwater, there is a lot of that.
Yeah.
It was funny because a lot of the tournament guys had kind of an arrogance about stuff, when it came down to it. But you know what? They gave us a wide berth.
Oh, did they?
Well, you're sitting on a trolling motor, and you ask the guy, what are you doing? You're randomly casting? We're fishing specifically with which way the current's going. They had no idea there was current in these lakes.
Yeah.
So how are you making the determinations? I did studies. I had all the charts. I had aerial photographs of casitas castaic before they were filled. We did a lot more homework.
Oh, wow.
And more homework than people thought. It wasn't. You know what I always tell people? Consistent fishing is not luck.
No.
It's doing your due diligence and doing your homework.
Make your luck, right?
Those guys, absolutely.
Yeah.
So studying where the structures were before the lake was filled. They may not be there completely, but a lot of times it gives you a harder bottom. It brings you a bait refuge, and so it helps you determine that. You look at the structure there, you can tell which way the current. The two biggest fish I've ever hooked were at a spot where the current hits and splits, where the current goes one way off this point and the other way off a point. Okay?
Yeah.
One was, we call it Taka's Rock, which is in the back of Castaic, in the fish arm, and it splits. And Krupi got a fish with my hook in it. It was a 20.3, and I broke it off a few weeks before that.
Wow.
But that was spot, and then I lost one at Chismahoo at Casitas. Same deal, big fish, but it's a point that splits the current. So there's reasons. It's not luck. You have to understand that.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely. What's your go-to lake in the Inland Empire? Simon Sammy wants to know.
Well, I had the honor of fishing Pleasant Valley 5 times before they opened it.
Uh-huh.
And 4 of us had a record. We had 300 fish one day, but that was one of the first times they opened I fished it 5 times before they opened the gates. And so we saw the progression going from, we had a lot of 10 to 12-inch fish. We had I think it was 308 fish, and we had, and it was funny because it turned on just the minute the wind kicked up, right? And we were fishing a pontoon. So there's no technical things there. We're fishing artificials.
Yeah.
And they had the record of 300 fish, and it was 2 biologists and 2 guests that they would take from the industry.
Yeah.
Okay. And at noon, we had like 80 something, 90 fish. I go, man, we stink, right? Well, the wind kicked up, and we're in a pontoon. And most of this afternoon, all 4 of us were on the same time. And we amassed, and we stayed a little bit later, but we broke the record.
Wow.
We had 308 fish. or
Wow.
something,
That's amazing.
yeah. But they were smaller, and then as we went, the fish got bigger. We'd have less numbers, but it was just phenomenal. So that was the last time I fished. I didn't even fish Diamond Valley. I haven't fished it since they opened the lake.
Slam and Sammy says he likes saltwater now. Also, not going to lie, color does matter at lakes. Oh, shoot, I missed that one. I think it's Isaac saying that his wife likes them to get out and do fishing. Danny gets cranky if he isn't fishing enough. Don't tell him I told you this. I like Gail already. I can't wait to get over there.
I've been blessed.
Something tells me I'm going to have a lot of fun with her.
She has never told me I can't go fishing.
I had to go short fishing at a lake and buying a boat and realizing float tubes does it just as well. Greg B. Danny, thank you for teaching for the decades you have. We truly are better off in the sport fishing community because of your passion and what you do. Thank you, Captain Dan. Big heart from Greg. Better watch out, Gail.
Just passing it on, Phil.
Yeah.
I was blessed by some great mentors. George Mayo's Taka Tanaka, #1, Russ Iser right there too. He was another sea daddy. And being around a lot of these great people, they were great fishermen.
Yeah,
and
Russ I loved Russ. We did a radio. I can't exactly remember. We did a radio thing together in Redondo Beach. I actually did his eulogy on the boat. They asked me to do it, I think, because I have my voice.
Yeah.
And I knew Russ.
But he was unbelievable.
He was, wasn't he? And he was Politically correct, he didn't know what that meant.
No.
He would
and I
just
loved
tell
him.
you how he felt.
I loved him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when he and I had that radio show, when we launched Spiderwire,
Yeah.
you know, Spectre first came out,
Yeah.
he would go on his political rants and I would lecture him. I says, hey, they want to hear about fishing. Guess what? I was wrong. The things he spoke about politically impacted a lot of stuff that happened in the future.
Well, let's start it. Come on.
Well, no, you know, you talk about the black sea bass and stuff
Yeah.
like that. He says, why don't we sell tags? You can monitor them, you know, with a straight closure, what do you have? You get an overpopulation. How much biomass does one black sea bass eat as opposed to calico? I mean, how many calicos does he eat? How many whitefish does that sea bass eat? Barracuda, everything. You know, he was way ahead of his time. And I told you about the viaduct deal, right?
Yeah.
You know, they didn't want to do that. He funded it out of his pocket, put it on a barge, created Iser's Reef.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and you're so right. I remember reading a study many years ago, but it was on house cats and the effect they had on the environment in Ireland. And I mean, they had this freaking list of birds and how, you know, a dumb house cat.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so a black sea bass that's 500 pounds. Man,
You know,
it's
Russ
unbelievable.
was not afraid. I miss him dearly. He was unbelievable guy.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They don't make them like that anymore.
No.
Kai Fish Killer. Merritt Moore would be very good in clarifying rockfish regs. In the southern zone, it's April. He wrote, Merritt McRae. He wrote an article in Western Outdoor News. Yeah, I defer to Merritt McRae.
Yeah,
He's
Merritt,
got
sure.
Merritt's.
Merritt and Wendy fish all the time.
Yeah,
up there,
Wendy
so they
was
know
here
all
on.
this. Absolutely,
Yeah,
I saw
it was
her.
good to see her at our
yeah,
celebration.
Absolutely.
Too many people. Mark says, great show, Phil. Thank you, Mark. You're making it that way, my friend. Freshwater was another great pastime for me. I stopped fishing freshwater because of the ban on dogs at most lakes. Man, what's up with that? So you can't bring your dog to a lake anymore?
I have no idea. I didn't. I love dogs. We rescue
me too.
dogs. But when I'm fishing, and if I'm on a bite or a spot, you know, we're not moving. If we're getting bit, we're not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Current's just right, whatever it might be.
You're staying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're double anchored. So, you know, that was the thing that most of these guys, all the tournament guys gave me a wide berth because coming from the ocean, what's one of the key things determining when you're at Catalina or at Cortez Bank? It's the current, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
What corner are you sitting on with respect to the current? You know, you could be out, you're on the wrong side, you're going to see nothing.
Right.
You know.
And the guy that's on the right side is umbrellaed.
So structuring yourself on the lakes with respect to the current,
Yeah.
that was important. So the tournament guys would stay away because if I ask them a question, which way, how you're just randomly casting? That doesn't sound too scientific to me.
Yeah.
You know, so there's things that it was a challenge understanding those things.
Yeah.
And you know, just when you think you got them wired, they give you the fin.
Yeah, exactly.
They give you the fin.
The middle
That's,
fin?
yes, the middle fin, and that's why it's always a very humbling experience to fish.
That's why
and that way there's no end to the learning either because it changes.
That's what makes it so much fun.
You got to keep.
That's a
trying.
good life lesson.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yep.
Chuck Zimmer over at the Redondo Rod and Reel Club. Have you ever fished freshwater bass at night? Do they bite at night?
Oh
Do
yeah.
They feed at night?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
bite good.
Oh yeah,
don't
they bite good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a funny one. We're in San Diego, and all the San Diego boys are all fishing. I mean, they all bass fish back
San
then.
Diego
And
captains.
San Diego captains.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're coming from up north here, but we have our bass rods. You know, a few of them, just with plastic worms and this and that. So they're telling us to go into Miramar, right? And they're telling us, they're getting some nice fish and stuff like that. And we're not going to keep them. But Taka's so tired, he just crashes out and he lays down, which is odd for him. He's a hardcore fisher.
In a bass boat or what?
No, on shore.
Oh, okay.
We snuck in at night.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's how all the captains do it, right?
Yeah.
So they're telling us. So he's crashed out, and I'm walking around, and we're throwing these 9-inch worms. And I think I got one small fish or something like that. And by the time the night was over, we said, that's, it wasn't that good. That's just take off. He's sleeping. We get back, and the guys go, would you see any snakes? And Taka is deathly afraid of rattlesnakes. Deathly afraid. He goes, snakes. Needless to say, he never went again. But I mean,
Scared the hell
it
out
was
of
so
him.
funny. Yeah. It was so funny. But the things we did when we were running boats, and we were crazy fishermen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you get a day off, and what do? Go fishing.
Yeah.
You see Brian Burrell on the Monte Carlo gets a day off. He's going fishing. Scott Buchert, the kid that's with us all the
That
time,
was
he's
it.
on the
That was it.
Sea Adventure 80 right now. He got 3 days off, and he went fishing on there. It's
Well,
crazy.
You know, here's
Can't get it out of your blood.
Here's a tribute to Gil. The year before we got married, I fished 300 days between the charters, my bass fishing, going up to the Sierras and trout fishing. I had 300 days out of 360. It was 365. So I figured, I owed it to her. She never said a thing. She never said no. And so anything she wants to do, she can do.
She's going to go straight to heaven. You know that,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great. All right, big. Danny, have you gotten a Sierra Slam along 395?
I've had it up. Yeah, sure.
What is it?
I have. Sierra Slam, Brookie, Brown,
Oh, okay.
Brookie Brown, Rainbow.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I was trout fishing since I was walking streams when I was 4. And,
Yeah.
And that's when my grandparents always liked fishing streams. So.
Greg says, Mrs. Kadota, you let the cat out of the bag. Thanks for sharing that with us, that you get cranky when you're not fishing too much. I think he's talking about.
Me? What?
Hurricane Chris, Florida did a similar thing with Goliath grouper, which were protected for like 30 years. Now they raffle off like 300 tags.
Well, I've said that we should sell tags for black sea bass.
Yeah.
And the problem is when you get a mature Goliath grouper or big black sea bass, what kind of biomass? How many calicos does it eat? How much destruction is to the rest of that environment?
Got
It's
to
a
be
lot.
significant.
So
These are these unintended consequences that
Right.
they don't even think
right,
about.
and they don't. They're not smart enough. I hate to say it, but
I
think
agree.
about that. When they're eating how many calicos, baby juvenile sea bass, whitefish, sheephead, everything. You got to use your head. A 300-pound fish, it's got a pretty good gut.
Do you have grandkids?
Yes.
Do you want them to go to universities nowadays? If they're going to get into the STEM type of stuff, science, engineering.
Well, you know.
But if they're
something?
going to go for a basket weaving 101 kind of thing,
It seems
it's
like
such
it's
an indoctrination camp.
seems like
now.
it's all
Here we go.
a basket weaving deal.
I know.
I mean, I got into it with the University of California system.
Yeah, what was your major?
I got an econ degree, and then my
Well,
last
that's
year,
decent. That works.
my last year, well, I started out pre-med, and I decided, this is not for me.
Yeah, I was
know.
going to law school.
You
I
know.
went to law
The
school.
only thing about pre-med and
same thing.
UCSD is it's over on Revelle campus.
Yeah.
And you look up from Urey Hall, this tall building, you can look down and see the new Loanna qualifier, anchored fishing yellow.
Oh my God, that
So
screwed you.
I'd be
for life.
going, tomorrow I will be there. And I was. But it was like $12,
Yeah.
to get on.
Yeah, but still, here you are in this academic thing, and what are you thinking about? You're thinking about
I
going
should
and
have
catching
known.
yellows.
We knew that. I knew that.
Rick
So,
Effinger told me he runs Marina Del Rey Sport Fishing.
Yeah.
Rick said he was playing high school football at Bishop Montgomery. He said he was kind of into it, and then September would roll around in the bay here, and the yellows would bite, and he said, "I'm out of here. I'm
You know
going
what?
fishing."
the key thing to any kids or anybody is follow your passion, because then it's not work.
Right.
You're doing it because you love it, and you'll innovate. You're not just gonna do it. You'll keep pushing at it. And and that's what I love. Tweaking, making. In high school I was making my own spinner baits and bass stuff for Kachuma, and bending them. And I used ball bearing swivels before the industry even used them in high school.
Yeah, you're
for my
quite the
spinner baits.
innovator. You've
Well,
got
the thing is,
you're a visionary.
you got to have that edge. What's going to spin better?
Yeah.
A straight bearing or a ball bearing?
Yeah.
And so, there are things, and it got a bit better with them. And I was around a nucleus of guys that were like that too. We
Yeah.
all had that mentality, to make a better wheel,
Yeah, absolutely. Simon Sammy, Paris does not allow dogs, but you can get away from it if he's on your boat and you take him out to the island. Okay? There you are. Dan Smith, I love it. The middle fin. I've gotten a few of those. Remember, fish don't get hooked until they open their mouth, and sometimes we get a few. Love it. Great show, guys. Yeah, the middle fin. I like that too, man.
Middle
I
fin.
think that we could come up with a nice little logo.
Oh,
with
yeah.
that on it, right?
That would be awesome. Do some T-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. Most reservoirs are reclaimed drinking water, so they don't allow pets or body contact in the water. That's what Israel says. That makes sense.
You know, here's something, again, I'm going to hammer their state because we got morons running it. But, you know,
Boy, do we
when
ever.
we fished Casitas, we went up there and we hired one of Rich Tauber's boats, and no serious thing, we get a pontoon, just have a blast. You know, we're catching bass. But the water level, you can walk to the island. You know, there's a high spot on a rock that we used to fish. Actually, Taka caught a record limit off of it. It's so high and dry, I mean, you'd have to hike to it, you know. What do you do if you have a fire? All that water was used for reserve,
Yeah, right.
you know, up there, and it's virtually dry. They completely ruined a world-class fishery. How do you do that? It's easy. Stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Stupidity,
absolutely
right?
stupidity, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, there was different, you know, things that they thought of that were impacting the water that they, you know, I mean, you got irrigation, you got this and that, but part of it was they were to save a couple, I think it was like 3 steelhead trout. Okay, which I think were trout that probably came out of the Fillmore hatchery.
Yeah.
But for that, you're gonna run all that water out to sea. You know,
Moronic.
as a state, how come you're very close to the ocean? Don't tell me we can't run a desalination plant and refill that thing.
Yeah. I mean, what's
I mean,
with that?
I mean, these are, I'm sorry, it's common sense, and maybe that makes it too hard for politicians and people in that
You got a
position.
gaggle of morons
you know,
running the show here.
For me, it's pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, helps in case of emergencies with having the water, and helps our fisheries, and they've destroyed them because of that.
I mean, there's
You know.
just so much craziness going on nowadays,
Oh,
and then you
absolutely.
have the science,
Yeah, these
which
science.
you know, the science. Shut up, do as I tell you, and don't ask any questions.
Yeah.
The last time I checked, the scientific method was constant questions, and that's how
You would think,
science
well,
works.
that's how my, you know.
Don't get
My
me
mind
started again. Here we go. We're going to turn this into something else. All right. Isaac snuck into Lake Matthews at midnight and got a ticket for it. Maybe I share my captain's license. Yeah, he snuck in, I guess. And, my kids, I don't know if I should say this or not, they jumped the fence at Los Alamitos race course at midnight. And because they wanted to see if there was any bass in there.
Yeah.
I can't remember the story. I don't think they caught anything, but they did. Security got on them, so they had to run, and they almost got caught.
In those days when I was bass fishing a lot, I lived in Gardena for a while before I went back to my folks' house in Palma, right? So I would stop at Alondra Park.
Oh, Launder's got some big bass in it,
And,
right?
and sneak. Well, I know they did because I put a bunch of 10-pounders, 10, 11s
Oh.
there and in Cerritos Regional.
Oh, shoot.
And you know, it was kind of cool watching the kids, and they you know, they would visibly see these things too.
And they're
but
like-
it was neat. They would hook them, and they couldn't wait to fish after school. And most of them, you know, almost all of them caught and released them. You know, And
Which
then-
is amazing for a kid.
It is amazing for a kid, but
Because
then
I want to take it home and show my
Yeah.
mom and dad.
Oh yeah, and then I see a picture on Western Outdoor News, Phil, of this young kid that caught one of the fish at Cerritos Regional.
Yeah.
And he had a shirt on. He looked like one of the tournament bass guys. He's a young kid, but he had all these these badges and stuff sewn on his shirt. I went, oh, this is a kid that killed the fish. The rest of the kids released them.
Yeah.
And he's got all these, you know, they think he's being sponsored, but he had all those patches on. I went, oh my gosh.
So
How
if you
ironic
see
is
somebody
that?
taking bass at a lake, do you talk to them? Do you figure
You know what?
It's legal, right?
It's legal, and so I don't. And then I can't be the pot calling the kettle black because we did a lot. We killed a lot for our egos back in those days.
Yeah.
Because there was a big thing between the skippers and it was
Oh, yeah.
competition. And I look back and I can kick myself for that.
Yeah.
You know.
But you don't do that anymore,
No,
right?
no, I won't.
So, the
won't.
key to life is
Yeah.
learning.
Right. But, you know, I mean, you know, you don't have those numbers anymore.
Right.
And, you know, regardless of what you do, I think it'd be hard to replicate that because we hit it perfectly. We grew up at a time where the indigenous bass in California were the black bass,
Yeah.
northern strain. And when they bred, like I said, down in San Diego, when they brought in that first bunch of Floridas,
Yeah.
that first cross generation at Casitas, all the San Diego lakes, Vicente, Miramar, all those lakes, that first generation was the one that created that super bass.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after that, once it became dominant Florida strain, it went away like the fish in Florida.
Yeah.
You just didn't get it. Plus, we had trout that they stocked, so they were fed at a certain time. But the one thing that these guys, and the reason why I kept binoculars was I kept an eye on who was doing what.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize the type of binoculars we have on boats. I could tell you what bait you're using, or
Yeah,
what
exactly.
hook you're tying, what not you're tying. But so we kept them honest with that too. But the bottom line was they grew to that magnitude because California stocked trout. But there's a time of year when Mother Nature tells that bass, when she's laden with eggs, she needs the cholesterol and the calcium out of a crawdad for the egg development. And that's when even those guys that were fishing illegal trout, stuff like that,
Yeah.
they couldn't compete.
Oh.
And we're fishing lighter line.
Yep.
And I think they're also a little smarter. They don't make the same mistakes.
Yes.
They don't get to that size by making mistakes.
Yeah, right. We were talking about that on our trip.
Right.
Yeah, with Tino.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, our timing was perfect back in those days. So we were blessed by that.
Mark, Danny, I wish I knew you. I wish I knew who you were. I must have passed you a few times on Sunday at the landing. I could drink a barrel of beer while listening to your stories. I hope you put a book together. Hey, doggone it, Mark, I wish you would have seen him too, because this is one of the nicest men you'll ever meet in your life. I'm telling you right now. And you didn't pay me too much to say
No,
that,
thank
did
you. You hear that one, Gail?
Yeah, Gail.
Record that, please.
Israel de la Cruz. Danny, how long you have been on tonight's show? One of Phil's, he wants to know, how long do you think you've been on the show so far tonight? I do like
Holy
to ask that
smokes,
question.
I have no idea.
Take a guess.
Little over an hour? I
little
haven't even watched.
A little over 2 hours.
Holy smokes.
Rock and roll.
This is like being there with Russ and I.
I know, right? Exactly, man. When you're talking to an old friend.
Exactly, yeah. Hey.
Chuck Zimmer wants to know, do you have any good stories about Yo's and Gardena? I guess the actual story.
Oh, I got a great one. Right. I got a great one.
Here we go, everybody.
Okay, here we
Get
go.
ready.
So, Yo being Yo, I feel compelled. I lived a few blocks away at the time, and we're on a albacore trip, and we're picking away steady, but it starts going wide open. But it's witching hour. It's time to kick it for home.
You're 80 miles and it's noon or something? Or...
Yeah, no, even it was later than that.
Oh, shoot. 1:30.
And all of a sudden, Ruthie, Yo's wife, hangs a big eye in this stop. And I went, oh, great.
Uh-oh.
And I mean, it got to the point where we told the rest of the guys, pull the rest out of the water. We want to kind of get this and get out of here.
Yeah.
It's getting late. And we had some of their crew up in the wheelhouse taking the sonar. And we were actually shooting and marking that big eye on the sonar. It's at 40 feet now, blah, 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 right?
She's almost got it.
And it's late. And I'm going, oh my God, it's past the time. Usually you give them, hey guys, we're going to give you 15 minutes, pull on it, and you either get it or you break it off, right? But it's Yo. So I stayed. One of the biggest mistakes I've done in my life. Right?
Oh, really?
Oh, it breaks off. We are an hour and a half late. We hit the dock at about 12:30 or something.
Oh my God.
Right?
And
here's this group, and they're upset, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
I should have never let it go that far, right? Well, the next day, those fish bit short, and we were in them.
Oh man, you guys put the jigs
killed
in the
them,
water, and everybody went long.
Phew!
Oh, you got so lucky.
And we highlighted, But we've had some crazy stops out of fun. Jimmy Lou.
Yeah.
Okay, Jimmy fished with me every single week. Now that guy is the epitome of a great angler. His tackle box, he fished with 2 different groups on Sunday. And I would go over to his box every week now.
Yeah.
It's on the right-hand hatch, my engine hatch, right? And it was on the back corner. I would open up his box. Here's a guy that had a different bait every week. Every single week.
Really?
How many anglers are that astute?
Yeah, right.
Stuff like
or
that.
put that much effort into it.
And that's Jimmy. So anyway.
Another $20 bill from Isaac. Thank
beautiful.
You so much. Really, really, really.
And we're over time. We'll keep going.
Yeah,
keep throwing it out there for him.
Keep going.
So Anyway, Jimmy's on the boat. We're down. I had the boat. I had the lease on Islandia for 3 years. So,
Yeah.
we're on one of these day albacore years. I think it was either 85 or 86. It was tough year. Tough time. It was a good year, but it was a tough period.
Yeah.
If you had one albie on the boat, if you had the skunk off the boat, you're doing great.
Yeah.
So anyway, the guys come down early, the same group, and it just so happens that a friend had caught a big catfish at Casitas,
Yeah.
right? And he walks up to the landing, and they go, "Okay, what's your name?" It's one for Western Outdoor News. And he walks up, he goes, "My name's Taka Tanaka." So he comes out and the Western Outdoor News.
Yeah.
Taka's blaming me. I said, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. So anyway, there's been this joke about catfish. So anyway, I come down to the boat. It's so dead. And normally I would never go out to eat. But they say, "Hey, let's go over to the Islandia Hyatt. We'll have dinner." I says, "Yeah, okay. Well, there's no sense going early or whatever. I mean, if you got an albie on the boat, you're doing great. If
Yeah.
you got the skunk off the boat, you're happy." So we go to Islandia. We have dinner. I come back. And here's the Mustang, all decorated. They had a big poster thing all the way across the stern that said "Catfish Special."
Oh my God.
They had catfish flags hanging on the gaffs.
Oh my God, I love
you know,
it.
and everybody's, it was, that
Rick,
was the
you-
best part about this industry. We're here to have fun,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we joked.
And
and we
people
did
had a
stuff
sense
like-
of humor,
Yeah.
which is lost nowadays
Right.
also. Don't get me started.
I walk up, yeah. I walk up in the warehouse. Here's this gift wrap box. It's about this long, about like this. And I go, "Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me. I know what it is." Sure enough, this kid, Greg Oldfield, Harold used to be with Yo's. He had a machine shop. And his son caught this big one at Mile Square.
Yeah.
This huge catfish. So it's all gift wrapped up. I go,
Oh my
"Great."
God.
So we're laughing our behinds off. So the next day, we're trolling, nothing going on. Everybody's half the guys went down in the bunk room. And if you got any fish on the boat, man, you got the kitty cat off the boat, the black and white kitty cat, you were doing great. Right?
Yeah.
So Jimmy Lou had the only international back in those days. And his rod was out on the starboard corner. And he was sound asleep in the galley. So I'm looking at Marty Tanaka, and I go, took that catfish, went down the side of the Mustang, pinned it,
Tossed it.
tossed it. We get it back their ways. We yell hook up. I mean, guys are flying out of the bunk room, the whole deal, right? Jimmy comes up and he grabs that big old international. He's pulling. He's kind of wondering, it's not diving or it's not doing anything, right?
Yeah, what is
So-
this, man? It's a weird fish.
So I have pictures. I'll have to show you.
Yeah.
I have it on my camera. There's 3 different pictures. The boat being decorated, catfish being tagged, and everything.
man, I
But here's-
love that.
Here's the biggest part of the whole
Yeah.
deal. So he gets it in, and we're all laughing, having a good time. There's nothing going on in the fleet. I
Yeah.
mean, if you had it on the Albie, you're in good shape. You
Yeah.
got the skunk off the
Yeah.
boat, right? So we spent some time killing time, laughing it up. So finally I said, let's go, let's put them back in the water. So hey, I fire it up. I don't even go a boat length, Phil, and I hear hook up, and I go, "Oh, they're still messing
They're
around."
screwing
But
around.
I pull the throttles back,
Yeah.
and I pull it
Just
out of
in
gear, and I
case.
look back through
see
the
a
galley.
boil?
No, I see a single Dorado jump. I go, "Hey, we got a fish, a legitimate fish,
A real fish.
Yes." So I run back up to the warehouse. I shut them down. As I'm walking to the galley, we are now umbrellaed. And
On
this is
flatheads?
no, on Albies.
Oh my God.
We had a quarter of the entire fleet count from Islandia, Seaforth, H&M, Point Loma, and Fisherman's out of Jimmy Lou's famous catfish. And
Oh my
so
God,
we had T-shirts made from that stop. So we always call him Catman Lou.
Oh, that's a great story.
And
I
yeah.
love that,
Oh
man.
yeah, it is perfect guy for it.
Albacore and Dorado off a catfish.
Yep, from the man. And I'll
Steve-
tell you, he's one of the best fishermen I've ever seen. in my life.
Absolutely.
He's a student, he's the innovator with stuff, and well deserved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
just unbelievable.
Slam and Sammy says, I keep the legals and give it to my family. There are plenty of them, especially when the lake is infested with them. Trout lakes like Glen Helen, no one fishes for bass. You'd be surprised how many. So there's a guy who enjoys doing that.
Yeah.
Steve Bermudez, hats off, he says, to Dan Hernandez. Their youth program, they teach the kids to release all the fish.
Oh, absolutely.
They inculcate that in
Yeah.
all the kids.
Yeah.
From a young age, I
Yeah.
told my kids,
Yeah.
boys, you see that fish? We're going to fillet it, and release it into the pan and eat it next. Yeah, so I made sure that
I've known Dan
only
because
kidding.
we were close to. We used to always. He was tied in with East Side Rod and Reel, and that was another club that chartered my boat, so we were close to them. But we've had some great times. I mean, the first show I filmed with him. It was unbelievable. I flew Gary Loomis down and the group down there. We were just unleashing our straight saltwater graphics, the first ones, right?
Yeah.
And we had a wide open bite, and it was just absolute blast.
Really?
To show him that.
I'll bet.
And in that, we showed Gary what a lift pole was.
Oh shit.
So I let him catch some on the pole. We went from lift pole to I actually hooked some of the yellowfin on a fly.
Oh my God.
So
Nick
I
Curcione.
did one of the first ones on a fly.
That's awesome.
On TV. Yeah. So that was one of Dan's early shows.
That's
it
great.
was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So we went from fly fishing to lift pulling in that one day, and it was just it was unbelievable. So
Israel
it was
De La
fun.
Cruz says he teaches his kids all the time to release. Chuck Zimmer said one of his first rod wrap came from Yo, so he has some really great. Isaac just threw us a $20 bill again, said great show, guys. Dan and I are loving it. Gail Kadota, I will come on next to tell Danny's stories. She's going to come on the show. I would love that, Gail. I want to hear, Gail's perspective to all of that. She may have a whole, how two people see the same thing completely differently?
She broke me of a lot of stuff. For me to be first out on the water, whether it was a stream, a lake, or especially on the ocean.
Yeah.
We're up in Mammoth, and I want to get position alpha on a certain spot, and she's getting dressed. Said, what are you doing? We gotta go. Now we go out. We'll have breakfast first. This and that. And of course, it's trout. It's just us.
Yeah.
But I will do that once the grandkids get going.
Right.
I'm going to be taking them up, and teaching them that the early bird, you got a better shot.
You got a whole bunch of people. Israel, Slam, and Sammy, they're all loving you tonight,
Oh, good.
Danny.
Well,
Give
thank
us
you.
a few more
Thank you,
likes there.
guys.
Let's get this up to 100 likes, ladies and gentlemen. Danny Kadota, you are one of a kind. Are you okay? Can we keep going a little bit longer?
Man, come on.
Okay.
I ran boats.
We don't like, I know. We can go for another 12 hours, right?
That was the other crazy stuff. I would get up at 2 in.the morning to get up to Castaic or Casitas. Just driving up every day, reloading on bait. I used to cure my bait, my crawdads.
Yeah.
But, it's no different from the choves. You get the stuff the weak stuff dies off. You get the hot stuff, change
right.
the water out.
Yep.
That stuff hits the water, thump, 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 thump. And they have a panic thump before they get bit. So you get on point, and you would know.
Absolutely.
So it was work,
Yeah.
but it was worth it.
Hey, if you have a question for Danny, now's the time to ask it because we get no more questions. We might say bye-bye. Maybe not, though. I'm enjoying this so much. I think we're just going to keep going. Let's see. Tangle Diver says, so Danny, you're saying albies eat catfish? Okay, I got it. Not exactly, right?
No, it was a joke.
They do follow catfish or something, though, right? That's what I need to know.
Just having fun out there is the number one thing for us.
Heck
And especially
yeah.
with our older groups, that we can get away with that. There is no bars hill, with any of our old groups. The gimmicks and the stuff that we pull on each other was just phenomenal.
Israel De La Cruz threw us $10 just now and said, keep the show going till midnight.
Hey, you're going to be sorry. Like I said, I fish all day, get up, reload on my bait, and be up at Castaic. I'd leave at 2 in.the morning again. Never, it was, and then after running a sport boat, it was a piece of cake. So.
Mark says he likes my catch and release fillet and throw it in the pan comment. Arnie Man runs a ponga out of Ensenada. He's a great guy.
Oh, cool.
He said he's just saying hello to both of us. Super good guy. You and I got to go down there and fish with him.
Oh, that's
or
awesome.
with one of these guys, Blackfin. These guys are great. Arnie eats his palomitas, his popcorn during every one of our shows. He's a super good guy. Israel, thank you so much for throwing us a $10 bill. We'll keep it going for a little bit longer here at least, right?
I used to sneak down to Ensenada. I forgot what it was. $10 to fish when I was in college back there, and even in high school.
Jump on the Ensenada Clipper or one of the Gordo boats?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, and then I got real smart. I did a charter boat, but it was a small boat, And
With Sammy or one of those guys?
no, I
in there?
can't even remember, but I was still in high school.
Yeah.
And we charted it, and we tried it. We killed the calicos.
Oh, my
But they were
God.
saying that the yellows were biting, but, we ended up right there, the islands.
You know,
What is it, Todos Santos? What's
Yeah,
Todos
Todos
Santos,
Santos.
right?
Yeah.
And so we killed the calicos, and they said, no yellowtail. We get in, pongas full of yellowtail. I'm
Oh,
going,
really?
all right, going back to San Diego next week.
Exactly. Exactly.
But, yeah,
Tim
no,
P,
it's great.
did you guys talk about the new regulations for rockfish next season? Kind of talked about it, but you and I are woefully ignorant on the exact.
Yeah,
We defer
yeah,
to Merritt McRae over at Western
Merritt.
Outdoor News.
Absolutely.
MJM, hey guys. Phil, it's Mark who visited you at that amazing event. Oh, hey, I know Mark with the fat-free donuts. Yeah, he brought all these fat-free donuts. Quick question. Best knots from braid to mono and mono to fluoro. Dare to go braid to fluoro.
Well, mono to fluoro, to me, it's the original one that Richard Hightower and the guys from Seaguar did. It was a Seaguar knot.
Yeah.
Okay. Braid to fluoro. What do you call it? You loop your mono,
Yeah.
put it through, wind it up about 7 times, wind back 7 times, back through. What's that called?
I forget.
But I use that for
Somebody
my.
out there will know.
I use
The
that for
Freeman-
my braid.
Yeah.
Yeah, braid to mono.
I'm horrible on
Yeah.
like rod blank
Yeah.
numbers and
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff. I'm really
And
good.
it's pretty much 100%. I've never it would have broke on this last trip, but I mean I've been using it forever.
Danny, can you please explain the panic thump in greater detail? I'm not sure I get
You
it.
mean on the bait?
Yeah.
Almost every bait will have, except except like a salmon egg, but that was a key thing to my crawdads. When I was catching those big fish, the crawdads would tell you when there's a fish there, and there was a panic thump, and it was their tail kicking back as they're escaping.
It's kind of like a bait when it starts,
and
though,
the
right?
bait's the same way. The baits are the same way. They'll change gears because they know if they don't, they're gone.
Yeah, right.
So when it starts kicking in, I've got my thumb. I'm in position. Let them eat it and put the screws to them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Slam and Sammy, favorite place to fish in Mexico and time of the year you go there?
My dad used to go down to the Bay of Los Angeles 60-something years ago, and I was too young to go. And I went a year and a half ago with Steve. You told me
Yeah.
what a unbelievable fishery.
Yeah,
I loved it.
It really is.
it was just unbelievable. And we were blessed enough to have a super Cabrilla day where I got them on the top waters and stuff and smoke test these things, and it was phenomenal.
Awesome.
And then, of course, yellowtail, catch anywhere. What I wanted was a baqueta.
Yeah.
And, those guys aren't going to fish a lot of the spots if there's American boats around. I'm just going to be honest. We know. And I don't blame them.
I don't
because
either.
what
They're
happens, the
protecting
guys,
their-
they drive by, you can see them punching in on the, on their
GPS?
GPS
Yeah.
and lock it in. So they won't fish them if they're around. But I mean, we got out one time and we were going for the baqueta. I dropped down, and at 540 feet, I hang a heavy fish. I'm fighting this thing. I'm waiting to see bubbles. No bubbles. It ends up being a 36-pound yellowtail. But the bad part was there was a boat that kept running to us, going full bore, got up to us, and it was a tail, So he lost gave away
man.
a spot, But yeah, but there's so much diversity down there.
Yeah, I love
You
that
could
place.
fish Watchinaga. We had filled the ice chest with Watchinagos.
So
And every day
fishing.
we're done.
Yeah.
We were done 10:30, 11 o'clock. But you told me we're all pretty serious guys.
Yeah, yeah. Trina Bobina, Danny is the man. I love his stories. Tim P, what do you think caused all these Dorado to show up this year? What do you think it was?
You know something? I don't know.
Yeah.
And you know something? Here's the deal. If we knew, it'd be bad because the commercial guys would go out or whatever, And I'm telling you, the biologists are no better because, and I gave you the example, and this is a true story. We had El Nino, and the water was extremely warm. We had all that. It was ridiculous yellowfin fishing, and
Yeah.
we had big eyes, But the biologists said, because the kelp was dying, because it was so warm, they said the ocean's going to die. And within 11 months, we had record albacore, cold water albacore, record numbers in 84 and 85.
Like what?
Pretty much paid for the landing,
Yeah.
you know. And it was just amazing. My brother dumped the Cherokee in the first year in 84, and it paid for itself just from that albacore season. And that was running open party. So everything that floated was out there.
That's
and it was
crazy.
almost guaranteed that you were going to get limits of fish, you know.
Naughty Boy 78 says your knot is called the Crazy Alberto knot. No, I don't think so. SoCal Drew says it's the RP knot. And Tangle Diver concurs. That's the RP knot that you described. All right.
That could be.
Yeah.
That be.
Uh-oh,
Okay, so I give credit to the big ragu. Probably John Collins.
There you go, right?
John's a great student of the knots. I've used several of his knots. That's probably it.
That's called a worm knot, somebody else says now.
Yeah.
And RP knot, no name knot, John Collins knot. There you go.
Well, I know John very well. I know Frank too, but we goof around. But John is the guy that, to me, is a real student. I've learned a lot by watching him. He's an unbelievable fisherman. One day, we're on the American Angler when Danny had the boat,
Yeah.
right? So I walk up to the bow with him. We have bait in the bow tank. You know what he does? Takes a bare hook, snags a bait, casts, and just gets bit instantly.
That's so big.
So
I remember doing that.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
But John is he's a great fisherman. There's
Just has
not
that.
too many fishermen that are better than John. John is unbelievable.
Whatever that thing is,
Anything he fishes too.
whatever that thing is that
Yeah.
you have to have, he's got it.
Oh, he's unbelievable. He is a sneak though. I can tell you one time we're in the back of the American Angler going up North Guadalupe, and he knew I had a small marauder for some of the small yellowfin and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he says, "Hey, Kadota, you got your marauder?" I go, "Yeah." He says, "Oh, go get it. Just put it out right here, right?" So I go. We're almost toward the north end of Guadalupe. I put it out, and John and I are facing the bait tank, and there's a kid on the bait tank. All of a sudden, the kid on the bait tank jumps up, and I look back, and my line's doing this. And John looks at the bearing on shore. He goes, "Yeah, that's right about where we got the wahoo the other day." I go, "You son of a beep beep." There goes my marauder. He couldn't stop laughing.
Chewed it off.
Oh, yeah, he knew he chewed it off.
Oh, my
yeah.
God.
So, the pranks that we play with our friends and stuff, it's, those are part of the things people, that's part of fishing that people don't get. I mean, there's no price you could put on that.
I know.
You know?
As a kid, I was on this big albacore, and I don't know whether it was Leroy or Norm or who it was on the searcher, but they'd walk by me, throw me a free spool, and they go, "Now this will give you good experience on how to get that bird's nest out fast." And I'm like, seriously? I'm like, I'm a kid. I want to catch this thing. Yeah, it was fun stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Yep.
Let's see. Hey, Phil, how about next year we plan a Battle of the Pongas challenge? Israel, I love that idea. That would be fun.
Is this down in Ensenada?
Yeah.
That would be a blast.
We should do that.
Oh, man.
Battle of the... Don't let me forget that. I'm going to see you this weekend. We're fishing on the Relentless together.
Oh,
so
cool.
Please remind... I love that idea. That is a great idea. Don Earnhardt. Danny, what happened to all the giants in Castaic?
You know what? They're all... Anytime a lake has... The reason why we got the giants was it was the first cross generation between the northern strain that we had here and the first strain of Florida's that came in. And they got the attributes, the best attributes out of each species. The northern with the aggressiveness. The Florida was a much more wary fish, where it took bait to get them. Northerns, when I was in high school, I threw nothing but artificials. And it was funny because when I went to go work on the Mustang with Taka, we had another friend, Freddie Ichikawa, another great fisherman. And we would throw cranks and plastic worms and everything all day. And then about lunchtime, we'd sit down, put one anchor out. And Freddie would bring a few crawdads, maybe a couple mudsuckers.
Yeah.
And so for 15, 20 minutes while we're eating, we're throwing those things out. And we're getting bigger fish than we did all day throwing cranks, spinner baits, jigs, the whole deal. So I'm sitting there talking, we're all saying, "No, wait a second. Aren't we trying to catch the biggest fish?"
Yeah.
Yeah. We started bringing bait. From that, we said, well, wait, 3 of us and the boat swinging around, let's double anchor. So now we're double anchoring. We had the Lowrance green box. We're medium structure, anchoring with respect to. Now, once you put that second anchor down, now you can determine if you've got current. Now, before here's the biggest thing a bass tournament guy will never even challenge me on, is because I will tell him, well, which way is the current going? Well, when you're on a trolling motor, you're blowing around with the wind. There's all the different conditions on the outside, the current underneath. You can't determine that. But when you're holding constant, you can tell.
Yeah.
So where do you stratify yourself with respect to where are the fish coming up? I mean, come on. We can go out to Tanner or Cortez. If we're on the wrong end of the drop-offs,
You're not catching.
you're out in Egypt, no man's land. You're out in the desert. Right?
Right. Yeah.
So, having that, knowing that the bait's going to be coming in from a certain area and, fishing that particular part of the structure, that part of the point or whatever, it helps your odds. It's not guaranteed, but it helps your odds.
Yeah.
You know.
Give us a couple more likes, please. We deeply appreciate it. It helps us so. Why am I looking up there? It helps us so much. If you just hit that like button, it really does help the algorithm that propels us to the next million views. So, million views. I can't believe.
Absolutely amazing.
That's pretty crazy. Desiree Rodriguez had a lot to do with that.
Oh.
Did you meet her?
Yes.
Yeah, what a lovely person, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
But that whole story is just, it gets you. I remember when it happened.
Oh, my God.
I remember when it happened.
In fact, Danny
Mark
Illustrator, do you know Danny?
Danny, no, I don't know.
He's been a deckhand for years. So Danny was in the office, and I go, "Hey, Danny, Desiree is here." He started to shake, and he goes, "I don't know if I can take this." Mark Paisano handed her to Danny Illustre.
Oh my God!
Up on the boat.
No, I remember when that all happened.
He was having an emotional.
Yeah.
And he went and got himself together, and then he went out and tried to say hello to her, but he was still. Yeah, it was crazy.
Well, that's an awesome deal.
Yeah,
it really is.
Any pongas you recommend down there? Here you go. These guys are good. Blackfin. And Blackfin's good. Arnie Man, who was just on here, he is great. And then a deckhand on the Royal Star. His name is Diego Nuno. He's a great friend of mine. Costa Baja Sportfishing. He has a Parker down there. He's got another guy running it when he's not in town. I fish with Diego a lot, Arnie, and Blackfin. Those are three good ones for you. You can definitely do that. Salte Fata says, "This is such a great show." It's all
awesome.
you, man.
Jeez.
I'm telling you, Danny. Get these rods out, man. You're going to sell 6 billion of them.
We will. We do. In time. It's going to be, like I say, there's a couple different concepts going.
Yeah.
Straight graphite and rail rods, things
Yes.
like that. But the rails, the reels, the seats that actually determine where you want to shut off the rod.
Right. That is magnificent.
That's very innovative.
That is
that part of
innovative.
it is kind of the best part. And the guys I'm working with, I'm very blessed and thankful that they have the same mentality. There's a friend, Brad Kono.
Yeah.
And he's one of the boys that came out of Arts Tackle.
Oh, okay.
So it was that mentality out
Yes.
of those days back and then that keep driving this industry.
Yeah, right.
The knowledge that they have is phenomenal.
Yep.
And we all shared that. We were lucky to share all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those guys grew up, and you remember our old Gardena Boulevard. They were right next to my old sea daddy.
Yeah.
Russ was right next door.
Yeah.
So
It was like the epicenter of
absolutely
sport fishing
Yeah.
innovation, right?
Yeah. And
Daiwa was there, like you said?
Daiwa was in Gardena. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leon.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. It was the heart of a lot of stuff.
It really, truly
Yeah, so
was.
it was.
Let's see. Naughty Boy 78. RP knot and the Alberto knot are the same. Had to throw that in there. I thought the Alberto knot was a joke. It's a real deal. Charles Zimmer, did you have... You were on the ocean about the time that Magellan was, right? He wants to know if you had navigation on boats you ran, and how did you get over the right spot? When you
Okay.
first started,
When I first started-
you had to have land bearings, right?
It was course and distance.
Yeah.
So the one thing we had was
And land bearings, right?
old Kelvin Hughes radar.
Yeah.
And we, like in San Diego, you get a shot on, it was a 48 mile, but you get a shot on North Island, on the Coronados, and that's where, we took everything from. Beyond that, you have to look at a chart, and this is before Loran A, where at least you'd have a single point, and we got a single point. That was great, that you could work off with Loran A.
And then you got to Loran C.
And when you
finally.
got C, we go, man, we are living.
We are living. You got to line these things
And,
up.
I was out of it before
GPS,
GPS came in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
so,
ridiculous
yeah,
now,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. People don't realize how tough it was in those days, right?
You know, if you were going to the 60-mile bank, I would hold the wheel. We'd hold the wheel the whole time because if you went off at all, it was hard to hit it. You know,
Yeah.
you got to be up and anchor in the 50 fathom spot.
Yeah,
right.
right.
And I talked to my brother now. The unit they have on the outer limits, it draws the bottom, and he tells me there's a canyon. You straddle the canyon, it's like a tuna highway. I go, well, how would we know that?
Yeah, right.
We did. I mean, the minute I got in water I could anchor on, we dumped it.
Yeah,
You know?
right. Thank God.
Yeah. But, you know, it's amazing the technology. I mean, even to the point where you have decompressors, you know, decompression chambers where they can release cows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Put fish down there and put them back down
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's amazing some
It
of the
really
stuff
is.
that's gone on.
I remember the first time
changed.
my brother and I took a commercial boat, the Thunderfish,
Uh-huh.
out to Tanner Bank. We were the same way. It's like looking at the fathometer
we
and going,
here?
there's
Please,
nothing.
please
There's
give us
nothing.
a
I go,
mark.
you know, we should be there. We're screwed. We must be off course. Or
Yeah.
we did have a Lorraine Sea, but you know, then all of a sudden, oh my God, there's 130 fathoms and we're coming up. Shoot, just throw the ganyons over, see if anything bites, you know, and
You know,
finally, you know, it got better and better and better.
I was just very blessed to worked under Taka.
Yeah, oh,
Because
yeah.
he was one
Guys
of the
like
most
that?
technical, you know, and he, you know, it was just a blessing working
Did
with
you
him.
ever
I
work
learned
with
so much.
Lopreste? You ever?
No,
Uh-huh.
no. Norm went down there with him when, Norm and I went to high school.
Yeah.
together.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. We
Uh-huh.
both went to Dorsey. You
Yeah.
know? And Norm was going down there in summer, and his older brother, Dave, was
Oh,
down
right.
there back in the
Yeah,
days.
Dave.
Dave was
Is
back
Dave
there, too.
around still?
No, he passed away.
Dave
quite-
passed away,
Yeah,
too,
he
huh?
had, yeah.
And Norm passed away, what, a year or
A
two
year
ago?
or two ago up in
Yeah.
Portland. Yeah, he had
Yeah,
a food
right.
truck.
He had a
right?
food truck, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
6 months older than I am. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He was a super nice.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
both him and Leroy,
Oh, yeah.
they were so nice to
Yep.
us, my brother and I.
Oh, Leroy still. Good old
Yeah,
Leroy's
Leroy,
still
I
around.
see
Yeah,
him on Facebook
sure,
every morning.
sure.
We say
I
muy
do
buenos
too.
dias
Yes.
to each other.
Yes.
Yeah, he was
No,
great.
good guy,
Taught
yeah.
me a lot.
Yep.
He really did. Israel says the pongus he fishes with down there is called Mara's Sportfishing. And if Israel says that, man, it's good enough for me. That guy is awesome. Slam and Sammy,
Cool.
what do you think of the Mad Max for trolling?
Oh,
Is it all the rage, or is it? You think you can get bit on?
I put one
Marauder?
on. I put one on a rail rod. Right?
Yeah.
And I had an ATD with 200, you know, accurate, heavy duty.
Yeah.
And I had it kicked it up to 20. Wow, that was hard to keep in place. I said, oh, I don't even want to wind it in if we get bit.
Yeah,
But
really.
yeah.
You kicked it up
But-
to 20 knots.
Yeah.
And it
We
stayed in the
played
water.
around.
And
Yeah,
fished.
yeah. We saw what it did to the, you know, like I said, it was hard to hold drag. I had to push it up even more. you know,
Jeez.
so it was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we never caught anything with it. But yeah, for a while there, it was the hottest thing going.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Dan Smith, I can remember when my dad would use a pocket AM radio set to KOGO, and we would turn the radio until it went silent and get a course from San Diego. The towers were just inland. Hey, it worked. Wow, Dan, that is something else to
That's
share.
right.
That, right?
That's right.
I remember Eddie McEwen telling me all kinds of stories about how it was back in the day.
You know, and Eddie started out down up here at Pacific Landing.
Yeah, right. At
yeah,
Pierpoint, right?
yeah.
Or where, yeah.
Yeah, Pacific Long Beach.
Yeah. I loved him.
Oh, he was a great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. And that boat, still fishes.
It does, man.
That's
Everybody's
crazy.
had gotten a hold of that thing, just do really well. It's
yeah.
high off the water. I don't know if I like that so much, but it fishes great.
fishes. I fished it with Brian and those guys the first year they took
Right.
us to Morro Bay and we got in. Well, let me tell you how big they were. Those big ice chests I have, we could only fit 2 albacore in them. It was just unbelievable on those big albies that one particular year. It's one of the
Up in
early
Morro
years,
Bay, you
up
said?
in Morro Bay
Yeah.
when he had it up there, when they'd run it up there. Yeah,
Man, you talk about some nasty ass weather, though.
that's we used to commercial fish.
Yeah, I know,
up there.
man.
That was
You run
you
into
sit
some
in up there. at
snotty
times.
weather, and they bite in it too, don't
Oh
they?
yeah. I mean, literally on the lift pole, you're pulling fish. You could see the silhouette in the wave, and just like
They're
pulling them
coming
out.
straight at you almost, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
It
That's
is
good.
crazy. Yeah.
All right, Tim P wants you to vent on those bass cheaters. What do you say about those guys? What should
Oh,
we
you
tar
mean
and
the
feather 'em?
walleye guys?
Yeah, or the walleye guys, I guess.
Yeah, I think they should.
Yeah, you do.
Oh yeah, either that or stuff them with lead.
They had a lot of. They won a lot of money doing that, didn't they?
You know what? They should, not only be banned, but they should pay back for that. I mean,
Yeah, right.
That's terrible.
It's
I mean,
actually it's
terrible.
fraud,
It is fraud.
and it's
fraud.
It's
lucky.
grand theft.
Yeah, yeah. And if you let us have justice, there'll be keelhauled at 60 miles an hour. But
There you are, Tempe.
yeah.
All right. How many people did that before? Slam and Sammy's asking. Did what, Sammy? Do you remember? What did no? Israel, I saw a video of an angler reel the Mad Mac in and got bit on the retrieve. So you can cast
I
that
could
thing
see
out.
that.
Yeah, right?
Fish like a marauder or something.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I would think so. Slam and Sammy's laughing about something else. So I think we can almost wrap this up. I mean, if anybody else has any questions, hit that like button again. But we've only scratched the surface, and we got into some stuff tonight
Oh, yeah.
that I didn't even think we were going to get into.
Listen.
Freshwater fishing and everything else. Your knowledge is incredible. One thing I do want to talk about just quickly is Nick Curcione, the old long-range author, my
Yep.
college professor at
Yep.
Loyola.
Yep.
I mentioned you, and you were like, "What? You saw Nick recently?" And yeah, I did actually. And did you ever fish the fly with him, or did you read his books? Or?
No, but I was into fly fishing
Yeah.
at the time. Well, I had to pretty much, and I was lucky in that I had my cousin's he was a top guide in Utah, still is.
Yeah.
And he taught me. He taught me at a family reunion up in Tahoe. But then when I fished with him, I learned so much more. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so what was funny was when I go to the fly shows in
Yeah.
Denver, they're looking at me like, oh, he's a bass guy. He's a bait guy. He fishes bait, And I can remember beating him in a fly casting contest, accuracy contest, and, and fishing up at the Zeus. And I took the guys from Marriott's up there.
Yeah.
And,
Bob Marriott and those.
well, not
or-
Bob. Bob
his-
Bob didn't fish that I know of.
Uh-huh.
I don't think he was much. But
He's a
we
business
took
guy.
his managers.
Yeah.
And we went up there, and I caught the only steelhead. And I took a 7-weight for throwing their skunk butts, where they're streaming across the top,
Yeah.
and a double midge, because I just got back from Utah fishing with my cousin. So he showed me that setup. And so what it was. Do you have time? I'll tell you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So what it was
I'm like you, I can go all night long.
In L.A., the big fly shop was Marriott's at
Yes.
the time, right? And Sage was the dominant one. We were G. Loomis. But we were dirty because we sold bait rods and saltwater rods. We weren't pure as fly, right?
Yeah.
Which, that's what I said to fly guys. Anyway.
Yeah, right.
But here's the deal. It's that attitude deal. So anyway, we take the two managers up there, and we take them through a tour of G. Loomis. And then in the afternoon, we shoot over to the chutes. Well, Gary's friend was the guy, one of his friends, he owned launch jugs. So he owned a mile and a half of water it's out of Maupin.
Yeah.
And the other side you couldn't fish because it's all Indian reservation. So we pull in, and the sheriff is there, and he fishes every day.
Yeah.
So the four guys, Tim Rajev and the Marriott's managers, and I forget who the other guy was. There's four of them. They pull out and they fish right straight down below where the sheriff was, where we were all parked.
Yeah.
So I'm asking, I asked the sheriff. I says, "Is that the best place to fish? He fishes every day."
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, heck no." I said, come on, you got to listen to the guys that fish.
Yeah, right.
Get my dope from, somebody who knows what he's talking about. He says, no. He says, if you go down 3/4 of a mile, you're going to find this like an island, fish around the island. Okay, so I take a 7-weight with the skunk butt, and I take a 5-weight for double midging. And the chutes the rocks are real slimy, so it's kind of dangerous, because you can slip. And I had felt soles, but I didn't have cleats on.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go down there, and I'm killing. At first I throw the skunk butt for the steelhead.
Yeah.
Nothing. So I said, oh, heck with it. I just got back from fishing the Provo with my cousin. I take the double nap, and I'm killing the trout, beautiful trout. And just as the sun starts going down, losing the light, I hang a steelhead with the 5-weight, and it's smoking me. And the thing is, I pulled him in, I put the pressure on him, and I figured that old mentality, either get him or break him off.
Yeah.
But if I get out into the rapids down below me, I'm dead.
Yeah, right.
Literally, I'm
Yeah,
dead.
lose it. Yeah.
And I can't see my footing because the sun's going down. So I end up breaking it off. I didn't tell the guys that. Next morning I go back there because we flew in, fish the afternoon, fish the morning, and fly back to LA.
Yeah.
So first thing in the morning, I could see because the sun's coming out of the east. I could see my footing and everything. I go back there. Where I hooked that fish, I threw the 7-weight with the skunk bite. Nothing again. So I go back to the midge. Sure as heck, I hang a still hit again. And this time I could land them though, because I could see my footing. I could see where I could pull them in, the areas where I could slide this fish into. So I get a still. It's probably about 8 pounds, 8, maybe 9 pounds. But I got them on, 4 pound with the 5-weight.
Yeah.
Could ate a midge. And so come back, I have the only still hit. You know what they said? Oh, that doesn't count. You got them on a wet fly.
Arrogant.
And that mentality told me everything that I always knew. And I said, you guys are idiots. I'm sorry. For me, fishing is figuring it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Not sitting there for
And
2
doing
days and you guys never moved more than 150 yards and threw the same thing and you got one follow. Wow. You're brilliant.
Yeah, and then they try to disparage it.
Yeah, I got it on a wet fly and not a dry.
That sounds
Well,
like a
you know
little bit of
what?
an elitist attitude
Yeah.
to me, right?
Well, it's like, you get that on the boats. There's some guys that I tried to talk to, they only wanted them on surface. I said, they're not eating it.
Yeah.
I said, I'd be throwing it, but they're not eating it. Well, I'm going to throw it. They throw it, and you have a tough day, But, to me, it's about figuring it out.
Absolutely.
It's about figuring it out.
Tim wants to know how to win that Lexa reel. We'll come up with something for you, Tim. Dan Smith said, do you ever remember seeing those wind streaks up out of Morro Bay? How brutal that wind would blow up there?
It's like a sheer point. It's a line.
Yeah.
It's a line. No, absolutely.
It's unbelievable, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
MJM, hey guys, between LA Orange County and San Diego, what city would you recommend to leave from for an overnight to 1.5 day trip or longer this weekend? I joined Phil's trip with 24 fat-free donuts, but it's full. So Mark wants to know.
Well, as you
where
come
would
further, you come further north. I mean, we were lucky. We were blessed. We had really flat weather. It's just gorgeous, right?
This weekend's going to be nice.
But coming up, So the ride, out of San Diego, you're going uphill, so you're going into it. Whereas from here, you're going across. It's basically equidistant.
Yeah.
So time-wise, it's not going to make that much difference.
Nicer ride from here.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the bait's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It used to be, that was the thing that swung my decision, is always to go to San Diego because of the Irvingham bait operation. But you know what? Mark and Paul, the bait operation up here is phenomenal now.
Yes.
I mean, we had gorgeous, beautiful deans.
Mike out there curing the bait. Yeah.
Absolutely. They've come a long, long way. So, just for the ride and save you from driving down. It depends where you're. I mean, obviously, if you live down that way, I'd go out of San Diego. But, I loved leaving out of here. It was beautiful. We had a beautiful ride, and great trip right there.
Isaac said he's going to get another 6-pack to go because we're going so long tonight. Just kidding. You guys rock. Great job, Mark. That's why they used to call it fishing. Nowadays, it's more like a hard catch with all the technology out there. They even got cameras to drop down with lighting to see what's down there. Yeah, I guess it takes some of the challenge out of it, I guess, but...
You still have to figure it out.
Yeah. Simon Sammy, live bait is always a catch. I learned that after running into the shed with then Soviet lures are always. Soviet, Ray Soviet?
Ray Soviet's the only Soviet I know.
Yeah, right. Steve Bermudez.
Yeah, the producer.
Right. Have you ever done beer bottle fishing? I don't know what the hell it is.
You mean mouse trapping?
Yeah. Oh, is that what you're talking about, Steve? Maybe, right?
No, I haven't, but I've seen it done. The guys back in the old days would mouse trap at the Coronados for white sea bass during the wintertime.
Right, I remember that. What is it exactly?
Well, they're taking jugs,
Yeah.
tying heavy line, and fishing a yo-yo jig where it would bounce up and down with the current and wind.
Must have worked, huh?
Oh, it worked.
Wow.
It worked. Yeah, it worked. Yeah, I used to do a lot of, that when I was going to school at UCSD,
Yeah.
a lot of that winter fishing, you could hop on a boat, and it was inexpensive. And it was only like $12-15 to go over there and go fish sea bass in Yellowstone.
So bitchin'.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you make squid at the Coronado Islands on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Not
Or
so
La Jolla.
much anymore. Yeah.
La Jolla sometimes. Yeah.
Torrey Pines,
Yep.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very much anymore, does it?
No, but I
Probably
remember
just-
when I was down at HM, we're having to run down to Pescadero. Down,
Oh, right,
just
yeah.
above us.
Salsa Puedas
Yep,
and- yeah,
yep,
down there.
Absolutely, that's where we used to have to get and then run back up.
Yes.
Pick up our groups and then go back and fish the Coronados.
Man,
you
I'll
know.
tell you. Israel, one thing I know is Danny is persistent on catching that fish that got away. Are you? You're persistent about fishing,
You know,
right?
One thing I love about fishing, there's never you can't put a ceiling on it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was blessed to fish with Yotomi, and going catching a huge arapaima. I had peacocks that my dream fish. That's so bad that I went down. I can't even remember how many years in a row.
Yeah.
But I mean, those experiences, I wouldn't trade for anything.
Oh,
else for
no,
them.
man. I mean,
No.
they're indelibly etched in your mind, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Let's see. MJM, thanks, guys. This is my last trip. I live in LA. Cinco Bass. Dan is the man on the show. One of the greatest minds in SoCal fishing. Did your mic drop?
My
or
mic
something?
dropped. I dropped the mic.
Well, let me
There's a
help
different.
You want me to come over there and help you?
for that. No,
I'd probably be okay if you just. let's
Just
see.
dangle it.
Yeah, I think it might be all right.
All right.
If
How's
you
that?
folks hear anything bad, let us know. But
Yeah.
If it falls. All right, and we'll end this. Are you getting tired?
No.
Okay.
Come on. I ran a boat.
Shoot. No, here, lean over here just a little
Okay,
bit.
all right.
Let's see if I can get that. Hang on, everybody. Gail, I'm just putting a mic on him. Don't worry.
We're re-rigging, guys.
There we are. We're re-rigged. I think we're
Okay,
good.
now we get
We've been
bit.
going so we're pushing 3 hours here.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Hey, what's the record? I like
It's
going
gonna
for
be 3.
records. Woo!
3 hours?
Piece
You
of
want-
cake.
When we hit
Come
3.
on, all those wheel watches all those years.
Yeah.
Come
I mean,
on.
the
Piece of
record
cake.
is 3 hours.
Oh my
So when I see
God.
that thing,
Hey
if it-
boys, think of some things.
come on, hit the like button and get this. We'll go for 3 hours if you get us to 100 likes, maybe. We're thinking about it. All right, just hit that like button, that thumbs up. It really, really helps us. All right, let's see. They're loving you so much. I agree, Cap. Got to figure it out. Time is on the rail and listening to Phil's show every morning. Thank you so much. Don, great show, Phil. Keep it up. This is the best SoCal media show, social media show.
Awesome.
How can I thank you? I mean, and it's all because I've got guests like this man right here. I mean, you're
Well,
the best.
You know something for all you listeners out there too. I had a radio show with Russ Iser.
Yeah.
I was blessed to have it with him. And I was into the technical fishing things. Russ was into politics.
Yeah.
And I used to say, Russ, let's get back to fishing. But you know something? I was wrong. He was right, because a lot of these closures and things like that Russ fought, we needed. But when it comes down to the fishing stuff, yeah, we got a lot of ammo, over the years. I mean, because, like I said, I've been fishing for 64 years.
Yeah, my God.
Yeah, tying hooks. And what gets me right now is I have one of my granddaughters, Gia. I bought all the grandkids some Daiwa, the little 5-foot trout rods.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to take them to the parks and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And she's 2, and she was sitting in her backyard, and she instinctively went right under the waterfall, and she's fishing, and it's coming down the hill right behind the rock. I says, Gia, that trout's going to be laying right behind that rock,
Yeah.
And she was there for 2 hours. And then my daughter, Elise, said, Gia, we got to go home. So she takes the rod away, walks it over to my tackle shed, puts it in there. Gia walks behind her, grabs the rod, comes back out again. Now Elise is getting mad. She takes the rod away, and Gia had a fit. I go, you know what? That's my grandma. She would never stop fishing. My grandfather, when we were up in the Sierras,
Yeah.
when he had every stop from LA to Bishop Creek, stopped. We're going to get gas in a Lancer. We're going to do this. We're going to stop here.
Had it all
And he was,
choreographed.
on the minute, man. I'm telling you, right? So we'd be at Bishop Creek. Grandpa, we'd either go Grandpa, I go with Grandpa, or go with Grandma. So one would go upstream, one would go downstream.
Yeah.
Well, we'd meet back at the car on Sunday when we're going to go home. We got to be back at a certain time, right? So looking at my watch, I happen to be with Grandpa. Grandma's not there. Get back. She says, "Okay, go downstream and go get Grandma."
Yeah.
So I find Grandma, because I know all the holes in Bishop Creek, up and down the stream, right, and North Fork stuff, and I find Grandma. I said, Grandpa's mad. We got to go. Grandpa's fuming. Let's go. You know, and I mean, he had his gas stops planned, everything. Everything was planned perfect. And my grandma would say, they're biting. We're not going. They're biting. And so we'd stay. And by the time we got back to the car, took off. My grandpa didn't talk to grandma all the way back to L.A. from Bishop.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
But she was hardcore.
Yeah.
I used to take her
I
out.
love that.
I took her out. She got a 50-pound albacore. She was 80 something.
Really?
And she lived till 97.
Jeez, that's great.
You know?
You've got to admire that.
Oh my
Kind
God!
of
Well,
a
she
thing.
did.
That same blood is coursing through
Oh
your
yeah,
veins.
yeah.
Let's see. Moon phase. Important or not?
Oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I'm going to tell you what. You know,
Oh, they're playing taps for us. You hear
there's
that?
taps.
Yeah.
I'm big on moon phases, and you just have to go through them. You know, when I was fishing the big bass, I felt that the full moon was the best time. You know, and through my records, and I kept a pretty good log on that.
Yes.
So I would fish the whole phase. I'd fish 7 days in a row. I wouldn't take days off. And you know, during that phase, you'd have 2 really good bite days, maybe 3 mediocre days, and 2 tough days. But the fact is, if you were not there on those 2 days and you were there the
You'd
other
have
5
missed.
days, you might have a couple of mediocre days, you know. So it had to do with fishing a lot,
Yeah.
you know, putting your time on the water, because you can't
Means-
guarantee anything.
Yeah.
I just knew that the very biggest bass I caught were doing full moon phases. And you know, there's so many of the guys on the ocean will fish that by a moon phase.
Yeah.
You know, and it was funny because my grandfather would never fish a full moon, but I found things contrary to that as I grew up. You know,
Yeah.
and started doing my own.
So
settings.
what advice do you give people? Fish
Well,
the
I-
full or
You got to fish a lot.
okay?
The
And
more
then
you
figure
fish,
it out.
yeah, because like I said, I'd fish 7 days during the moon phase, and I'd have a couple of tough days, a couple of great days, and a couple of and the rest mediocre.
Yep.
You know, so you just have to be there. You know, it's the guy that puts the time on the water, and that's always going to hold true.
Yes.
I don't care where you go
Absolutely.
and what facet of fishing, whether it's offshore, bass fishing, trout fishing. You know, it's time on the water.
Steve Bermudez was not talking about the mouse trapping. He was talking about like putting the line around a beer bottle like the kids do in Mexico. Kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I've never done that.
Okay.
I think that'd be fun to do. Israel says this will definitely be the longest podcast ever, and he's loving every second of
Awesome.
it.
Atta
We
way,
just did
Israel.
3 hours.
We're in there, pal.
We're 3 hours now.
Listen, I'm long-winded.
Me too.
I'm long-winded. I was
Tim,
u-
go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I was used to talking to guys that would come up in the wheelhouse, and I'd talk to them all night, and I'd let the crew sleep. I'd say, hey, sit down. I'm fine. I'm awake.
Yeah,
I'm
but
talking."
your stories.
when
and
you're
your
talking fishing,
Yeah,
you know,
you're so good, man. Tim P wants to know if I'm going to the Fred Hall show. Maybe. I haven't made up my mind on that yet, but
oh yeah,
possibly because I had a good run there and had a lot of fun. And
Same
Bart
deal.
is coming back, so yeah.
Same deal. You know what I have a problem with, and Bart's a friend too.
Yeah.
Is that you look at the cost of parking and everything for the average families
Yeah.
now, and the cost of that, and it's tough.
Yeah, I
You
know.
And that venue that we did last year, you know, down in Orange County, was very friendly for that, for the kids, for everything else. The hours were not killer.
Yep.
The 12-hour days.
Yep.
You know, and I think we did just as much business in that time. So Bart, if you're listening, that's my 2 cents.
There you are, Bart. I invited Bart to come to our event, but he couldn't make it. Hopefully
cool,
we'll see him
cool.
again soon. Gia says, "Hi, Grandpa."
Oh, my baby. It's my fisherman.
Yeah, Grandma. Semperfish. Let's see. Semperfish has more information on the rods and everything. So is there a website or something?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
Instagram or?
Yeah. Yeah, Elise handles my daughter handles the Instagram. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
Semperfish.
You know a guy named Darren Dohe? Darren
Are you
says,
still awake, Darren? Darren's great. Yeah, I
says
love
nobody
Darren.
has more knowledge globally about fishing than you. And he's
You
right.
know, we've been so blessed. You know,
He's a
lot
great
of it.
guy.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. He did all the initial prototypes for me too, and he's
Oh, really?
he's
I
meticulous.
love the guy. He was on
beautiful.
this show and
he's
he was
great.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yep, he is. Darren's, and he's got he was one of those guys. He was one of the arts guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, so there I'm saying. You know, that was the hub of sport fishing as far as I
Absolutely.
chose. It was.
Isaac says he's going to start tracking moon phase from now on. Slam and Sammy says more time on the rail. Man, you got all these people. There's so many questions coming in. Makes me I know that there are people who are watching this. Jeff Fuchs, Danny, we need rods for Dan, for kids, a foundation that Dan Hernandez Sport Fishing can help us out. Dan is one of my new fishing friends, and we will teach fishing at Leg Lake where my pop showed up. Yeah, they do a lot of that. And who was it? Oh, Steve Bermudez. He does a lot of that. AKA the Sack. That's Isaac. I've heard a few days before and a few days after the full moon are good. Is that true?
You know,
Or
that whole period of time is good. But
Yeah.
I fished the whole time.
Uh-huh.
You know, if you really want to get an assessment of what goes, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
You know,
Is
you
it
don't
different
know.
from year to year? Do you get that feeling or not?
No,
Different from day to
You know
day,
what it
pretty
is?
much,
It's
right?
different from day to day, but
Yeah.
just being there, you know, and then you have different conditions. A lot of times with the full moon, you get the wind sometimes.
Yes.
You know, so that makes it tougher. But is it fishable? That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest thing. You know, you're going to be able to hold anchor on a lake, you know, and I double anchored.
Yeah.
And I had not just double anchored, I had 2 anchors on each side. I had, you know, one that held it down, held the scope down. So there was an anchor that was 5 feet up from my main anchor.
Oh, yeah.
And that would hold it down. And when I'd lock in, there's spots like at Casitas where guys like Danny Sansom sit on the middle. Nobody else can hold.
Yeah.
And he was using 45-pound, huge anchors.
Wow.
I used a 15 and a 25, and it seemed like the one that was holding it down up above helped the main anchor dig in better.
Oh, my
so
God.
I could hold in anything too,
Got it.
in a blow. But I mean, that's, you know, by that time, all the rest of the guys are off the water.
Yes.
Well, when that happens, there's less pressure. When there's less pressure, your odds are better.
Yes, definitely. Let's see. There was a gentleman many posts back. He wanted to send his condolences about hearing that Hero died. So
Oh, yes.
yeah. So
yes,
I
yes.
forget who it was,
Oh,
but it
thank you.
just popped into my head.
Yeah, no, he was great. He was, you know, he goes back to the old Eddie McEwen days, and he did stuff for, Eddie Deal. When
Uh-huh.
Eddie Deal had the
Yeah.
El Dorado,
Yeah.
he would go up to Morro Bay and hold the wheel for him. So he, you know, all those years he held the wheel for us, he was phenomenal. We never had to worry about anything, you know. And he came, and all the Tanaka brothers, Brian, all those guys know, my brother, we got sleep because he never missed on the wheel. You
Wow.
know, he was, you know, great with the radar. Pat knows too,
Yeah.
Conklin.
Yeah.
You know, Hero and I were up in the whales running the Freedom that night. We did that goof off trip down, got him on the lift boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Hero was with us then too. He was-
Ichiro says, I think your picture is still on Taka's fridge at the shop. How do you like that?
Well, you know what? He's my original sea daddy, and I don't respect anybody more than I do Taka. You know, he was the greatest sensei around, and he was, you know, great fisherman too. You know.
Absolutely. Slam. We are going to have to end the show at some point, folks, because
Yeah.
Tony's got to go home. The
All
guy
right,
waiting in the
cool,
front
yeah.
office,
So,
right?
so did we go over the record?
What record?
The time record.
Oh, we're definitely over it. But
Oh,
one
shoot.
thing I never do.
Let's pull the anchor.
I never leave a question on the
No,
board.
that's true.
So
Okay, I
I'm
was
going to
gonna
try to
say-
wipe these out,
Okay.
and then if we get a little break, we'll say goodnight to everybody.
Oh, perfect.
Are you having fun tonight?
Oh my God, you kidding?
Me too.
I mean,
you
fish talk.
I'm going to have you
Jeez.
back again.
Yeah.
And I'm coming over to your place there pretty
That's
soon.
right.
Yeah, I
That's
can't
right.
wait to do that.
That's right.
Slam and Sammy says, what's the best trip you've been on? I work nights. I got all night. What's the best trip you've been on?
God, what does he want to do? Does he want to go to Brazil, or does I mean?
Yeah,
you know,
really.
I mean, there's so much that you could do, and there's some of the best things we did were in our backyard. I mean, I was fortunate because of our timing to have some great bass fishing at a time when those fish were peaking at their size, you know. But do they fight as hard as our ocean fish? No, they don't.
Right.
You know, fly lining a bait and getting bit on a big bluefin or something like that.
Yeah.
It's up there. You know, more so than even flat falling and stuff like that. But it was always a bait thing because it had to do with your ability to, you know, to handle that, to cast, to do the whole thing. You know.
Jonathan Jones says, my wife is used to hearing the rooster every morning in the kitchen as I watch the morning briefing while making breakfast. Great way to start my day. Thanks, guys. Jeff says, I love the rooster and the seagulls. I got a rooster.
Well, you know what? See, like to me, my big to wake me up in the morning would be the best thing. Is a big hook up.
Yeah, right.
And I used to yell loud enough Even to this day, if I'm on the deck, like say if I'm on my 8th day on the
Yeah.
American Angler, I could be the only one on the deck and I can yell and I can get everybody up.
I love it.
Everybody up. Yeah.
Tim P said, did you tell people to throw back baby yellowtail or to keep them? I don't think I said anything about that. Did you?
No, but I would throw them back. I mean,
You would?
yeah.
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 Well, what's a baby yellowtail to you? 5 pounds?
Well, any of that, yeah.
12 pounds is not a baby yellowtail.
No, Bay
is
12
it?
is not, but I'd say like, yes, definitely the stuff that's like
5,
this, stuff like
6,
that.
8. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Steve Bermudez, when I was selling tickets on Saturday, Danny stopped by at the ticket table and the people stopped to talk to Danny, which made it a great opportunity to sell them tickets. Good job. Well, I'm going to have you back next time we do that.
I'll be here.
Jeff Fuchs says, I love the Odyssey braid on the table. These guys were at our event. They were super lovely, nice people, friends of Jeff Yeoman's over there at 540 Slingers Club. I'm starting to get tired myself. All right, but I'm fighting through this because we still have questions. Israel, Danny, what's your thoughts on the reels from then and now? I remember a charter master say to his son before there was no 2-speed reels.
Okay, you
back
ready
then.
for this one?
I'm ready.
You ready for this one?
Yeah. Look at that camera and tell Israel.
When I was a little kid, I had the fortune of going to with my grandpa to the Great Western Center where the Fred Hall show used to be.
Yeah, right.
And the guys in the pen booth came out. And I would tell them, and I don't know if you guys remember, go back that far, but they used to come with a plastic spool
Yes.
and a metal spool.
Yes.
Okay, a metal spool you couldn't cast. It was so
Right.
heavy unless you had a super heavy yo-yo jig, then you could get a little bit of line off the reel. You had a plastic spool that we would back with string or something to cushion it, because the minute you put heavy pressure on it, it would spread the spool. It would just pop and freeze it up. So I go to this pen guy as a kid and say, is there anything you could do about this? And I explained to him our dilemma out here. His answer was, we sell every reel we make. We're not changing anything for you guys in Southern California.
Really?
Well, shame on you, because
Yeah.
guess what? Not knowing the mentality of our guys in Southern California. The one thing, Phil, from the film industry, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's aerospace, which we have,
Yeah.
you got the Caltech people, you got Disneyland, you got Hollywood. Everything we do, we drive to an extreme,
Yeah.
and we do it right, okay?
Number one.
So, shame on him. Later on, a nice little man in Glendale put out this aluminum spool. Carl knew changed that. Of course, we still put them in pen side plates and everything else, but that spool but the seats and the base were all changed over to that material, and that changed our game there, right?
Yeah, heck yeah.
But then, think again, we got aerospace guys. They soon started CNCing side plates and everything. So everything came out of here. I mean, you
Yeah, it
start
did.
thinking about
It
fishing,
absolutely
Phil,
did.
and all the evolution of rods, everything.
Well, the
came out of
birthplace
here.
of
Absolutely.
Sportfishing is right across the street
You
here.
got it.
Yeah.
You got it. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And people, not just nationwide, but worldwide, have to understand that.
Right.
And it's the mentality of our society here in Southern California because of Hollywood and everything else. And you look at all of us, we never settled for tackle. We always kept tweaking it. And we will continue to do that.
Yes.
But that's that mentality. We set a different bar because of our society here. We're into more tech. Like I say, with Hollywood, aerospace is the biggest thing. I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
I sat down here, first year George and I put on those color sonars. Well, in George's wheelhouse, it's a little different. He had more shade.
Yeah.
More blocking areas. On the Mustang, a lot of glass, which is great for eyeball fish. And
Oh,
everything
heck yeah.
But a lot of glare.
Yeah.
So we put that CRT on, the color sonar, and from this angle, the wheel's here, from here, I could see my targets perfectly. If I went off into different angles of the wheelhouse, I lose the targets.
Yeah.
So I go home and I talk to my pop. I talk to my dad, and he was one of the senior designers at Hughes Aircraft. I said, "Hey, Dad, what do I do about this?" He says, "Don't worry about it. I'll get that taken care of." Next day, he comes home with this polarized screen that's parabolic. It has curvature in it. So I put it up there, and now every angle in the wheels, I could see the targets. I go, wow, That's awesome. Where'd you get that? He said, I took it off an F-14. Well, he used to do cockpit redesigns. He did design work.
That's freaking awesome.
You know, but think about that technology that just went into that.
Yeah.
So I could see my targets.
That's awesome.
You know, so, but that went on with all these guys.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality we have, our fishermen have, and that's why we elevate our fishermen, our game for everything.
Yep.
Whether it's that or methodologies.
Yes.
Drop shot ain't this, that. I mean, a lot of that stuff came off the ocean that they use on the lakes and vice versa.
Yes.
So, you know, we don't stop. It's very competitive, but that's what drives us.
I love it. I love it.
And it drives this industry.
Absolutely.
You know.
Roland says, great show, great guest and host. Thank you so much. Jeff, my favorite spot to fish is Silverwood. Israel, Danny, let's get a full hookup sound, LOL.
Oh, he must have heard me yell.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
It'll wake the dead. Honestly,
Go for it. Yeah. I think Israel's right.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
You gotta do that over Detroit.
Some guy's
871s.
wife just fell out of bed.
1271s. You gotta scream over that. So you can hear it.
I love it. Shout out to the. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I mean, that was
No. That's
loud, man.
Oh, trust me.
Tony's
when I want them to stop the boat, they're gonna stop the boat.
Yeah, Tony's gonna come in here. I know he is. Let's see. Great work, guys. Slam and Sammy, shout out to the 540 Slingers guys. Great people to charter with. Roland says the metal spool was for wire? ? No, it was just a metal spool. Good night. Somebody said CNC is now making jigs. That's my dad. Alexa Kadota?
That's my daughter.
Go,
right?
Dad.
She's my fisher. She's the one that's
Tim P. Bravo. They're all loving it, laughing. Cool. Love it. I'm awake now, said Jonathan Jones.
The hookup. That's what it's intended to do. Get you out of your bunk and up on the deck and get a line in the water.
Alexa wants to know who your favorite daughter is.
Wow. That's a toss-up.
Dan Smith said, Kim just came running out of the bedroom with her rod belt on.
Perfect. Well, Alexa's the one that fishes. At least I took her out when she was young.
Oh, you do have to. I thought she was kidding. You had one daughter.
No, but she's my fisherman. She's gone down to the ponds and caught wahoo with me.
Split that one right down the middle, right?
No, she's
love them both.
She's the baby, but she's the hardcore fisherman. She's basically won trout derbies up in Mammoth and stuff like Crawley and stuff. And she's got it in her blood, like grandma.
That's
my grandma.
awesome.
Yeah.
Mike Stanford, Newell Med Jigmaster was awesome. We got a break. Danny, thank you so much.
You got it, Phil. Blast, man.
Why don't you tell everybody one more time, your rods will be available when? Or
Semperfish rods. We have the blanks.
I'm going to go where you talk.
But the componentry is a problem we're having with manufacturing. We'll have the handle soon too. That's going to be a game changer as far as structuring your rod to shut off wherever you want it. So stand by. We'll keep you posted. But the blanks are available. The only thing, the graphite rail rods are not ready yet. We have the prototypes here. I can guarantee you they're going to kick butt because they're graphite. They're going to recoil a lot quicker than anything on the market. They're lighter. It's unreal. But, and they're not going to be cheap because it is a very specialized deal. But the guys that understand that, you'll have no problem.
All right, I'm hiding over here. But Danny, thank you so much. You were beyond fantastic. You set a new bar, a new record, 3 hours and something. We were on the air tonight. Good job.
Got a lot of wind.
I'm telling you, both of us, right?
Perfect.
Thank you, Danny.
All right.
Love you,
Phil.
man.
Take care, folks.
Take care, everybody. We deeply
have good
appreciate
weeks.
it. We deeply appreciate everything. People want to see Semperfish apparel. Rods are amazing, they say. Good night, gentlemen. Love the show.
Got it.
See you later, Danny.
We'll see you.